Support all my Akhis and all my sisters out there. Welcome to Split Decision. It's a boxing debate / talk show where we report on boxing, what took place the whole week. That being said, in the red corner to the right is the undefeated, undisputed, pound for pound number one, Akhi. To my left is no other than the man with all the knowledge.
Yo, Professor Nims, you know how it is. 3P, punting with the PhD in pugilism. You know how we looking over here. We looking fresh in our blue corner. Akhi came out early for Valentine's Day. He got the
you know I have to represent, you know what I'm saying? That being said, I'm already cuffed up, so I ain't going to say no more and nothing less. But that being said, we had a great boxing weekend. Rigondeaux made legacy, made history. Even when he shot, he's still making history and legacy. Y'all see his signature? That's my man. Rigondeaux got done wrong in the sport of boxing, and we're going to talk about that. And, of course, Gary Russell and many more, from Manny Pacquiao to Errol Spence to Paulie Malignaggi talking about Deontay Wilder and so on and so forth. So, man, we're going to have possibly the best show yet. And all y'all fans, I want y'all to call in. Like I said, we not trying to hurt y'all feeling. I mean, we're not trying to hurt y'all. We might hurt y'all feelings though. I'm not gonna lie. We offer the Book of the Truth too at the Akhi University, which is the Akhi theme is put the guns down and the gloves up. And this the Book of the Truth right here. So when you do open it, you get split decision. Me and Professor Nen going at it. We'll see who's going to win today. Rigondeaux had a split decision win. Gary Russell had a unanimous decision win. So we'll see what me and Professor Nen bring it to the table today. So that being said, pleasure to have you, Professor Nen, and speaking to you today. As
Salute,
always, we have Gary Russell. He fought yesterday. We watched the fight. Obviously, we had a lot to say, but I want to start it off. Gary Russell has had plans to move up in weight to 135. Yeah. And honestly, I thought he was fighting a guy that was a 135-pounder because he was just so big. He was a silver medalist, and he defeated the same guy who beat Shakur in the amateurs, Ramirez. Yeah. Of course, that's not much to say because he was making his debut, but this guy was very good. So speak of the fight and what you saw and your whole perspective on that fight in particular, and Gary Russell comments about moving up in weight, skipping 130.
Yeah, so I've been described as a little critical of Gary Russell, particularly not his skill set or what he brings to the ring as far as fight IQ, but it's his inactivity and some of the excuses that might come with that inactivity. So this Saturday, he fought Nayan Bayar, who is a silver medalist, as you said, from I believe the 2012 Olympics. He represented Mongolia. He's a pretty good puncher. This was only his 12th, right? Or was it his 13th? I think it was,
I think it was his 13th, yeah.
Yeah, so he was, so he hadn't had, but I think all of his wins have come by knockout or TKO, except for two of them. And pretty good puncher. From what I've seen, the tape that I've seen on him, he can get dropped. He's been dropped a couple of times, and he leads his sub. I don't really like his hand placement, but against Gary Russell, he did seem to be the naturally bigger guy. He came forward, seemed to have a pretty good fight plan, but I think that was also helped along by Gary just seeming a little off during this fight. He wasn't as sharp as I'm used to seeing him. He's got some of the sharpest combination. His pivot, his footwork is on par with some of the best, maybe right below Lomachenko, but up in there in that range.
You think it's due to inactivity?
Absolutely. That's what I think. I think it's not fighting the top level fighters and just fighting your mandatories. And, as they say, iron sharpen iron, steel sharpen. So you need to be going ahead and not just sparring your brothers, because he's got 3 or 4 brothers that
they
are
fall
fighting.
On the same card.
They fall on the same card. History. He worked the corner, so he was doing a lot and not just have this really, really sharp focus into the fight. But also want to give Nayan Bayar credit. He fought a good fight. He showed that he was there and not just there to be an opponent. He was trying to win the whole way. And I think he's going to come away with a few more fans. He actually, from the tape that I've seen, I went and watched at least about 4 of his fights. I thought Gary Russell was going to take him out. You said a 10th round knockout.
Yeah, but I told you I wouldn't be surprised because supposedly every tune-up fight went to distance. So I knew I didn't really thought Gary was going to get the win 100% by KO. However, I did pick him to win for sure. Now, speaking of Gary Russell, the reason why he inactive, because he can't get the big names. That's part of the reason why he's inactive. So it ain't much he could do. Because if he stay active fighting unknown fighters, they're going to bash him for, oh, you ain't fighting the big names. Just like they do to Charlo and Andre. Because they tell him, oh, why, that's why I always tell you, that's what they supposed to do. Stay active in case one of these big names get ready and got the cojones to hop in the ring. Mm-hmm. So Gary Russell, he's making that huge mistake that Regan Diaz made. They fall on the same card too, which is wait too long. Just fight your mandatories one time a year. Instead of staying active, take whatever money you could get fighting whoever and stay active and look sharp and have the fans pressuring these guys to fight you. And that's why I love what Charlo and Andrade is doing. Apply pressure through the fans. So Gary Russell has to apply the same method. He went on PBC, called out Cruz, nothing happened. He went on PBC, called out Mares, nothing happened. He stayed waiting and he will wait forever, just like Regan Diaz, if he doesn't let the fans apply pressure for him. So that being said, Gary Russell, one thing when we was watching the fight, I was telling you, he need to vary his offense, not just his offense. I mean, like power wise, throw a hard stiff jab like Andre Ward used to do when he fights his opponents. Yeah. Just because a stiff jab, a snappy jab, it's not like a stiff jab, because a snappy jab, you won't be able to get countered, but your opponent will walk right through it. Yeah. You won't have him second guessing. A stiff jab would be like, man, I got to think twice before coming in, because he's going to catch me with that and throw me off guard. So Gary Russell had to mix his shots. He will go either one mood, which is, just throw snappy punches for the rest of the round, or he will start the round, going toe-to-toe, throwing hard punches. You have to vary it. And when I say vary it, I mean on so many different levels, from varying your speed, throwing a fast punch, slow punch, set him up, and then vary your power, throw a stiff jab, a hard jab, a snappy jab, and then the last thing is vary your offense as far as, different punches thrown from uppercut to hook, give different looks, which he does that. Up and down. He does. Yeah, he does that. The only thing is
when he's
speed.
Sharp. Yeah, when he's sharp.
But of course, he fought a silver medalist too, so we got to keep that in mind. So him moving up to 135 and skipping 130, what do you think about them comments? Do you co-sign him after what you seen tonight? Because we got to give credit to his opponent. His name was?
Nayam
Bayar.
Yeah.
You gotta give him props. You gotta give him props. He stayed composed. He was applying pressure, and so them comments, him moving up to 135, seeing the dangerous opponents at 126. What do you think about them comments alone, especially when he's not active? You want to move up 2 weight divisions, and you not even as sharp as you should be.
I don't see it. I don't think with that performance he's gonna give anybody pause. And I'm speaking of the big boys, Tank, Lomachenko, and Lopez. He's already fought Lomachenko, of course. I thought the good fight that was on hand seemed to be what we were working towards was his fight against Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer didn't necessarily hold up his end of the bargain, but I want to give his opponent all due credit for that for Diaz. But at this time, I think that Leo Santa Cruz might come calling after that, after seeing a unsharp Gary Russell Jr. I think Leo might be like saying like, "Hey Gary, you remember what you was doing to my pops? Let's get it on."
I wish he would. That's all I have to say on that one. Now, as far as him moving up to 135, I agree with the people on the chat. Shout out to Sean. Shout out to everybody in the chat. To my man too, from Cuba. That's my guy, man. He rocks with me since day one. Carol. His name's Santos Deuce. I think he clowning Cruz with that name. I'm not too sure. But that being said, He cannot skip 130. He has to go to 130. I don't care who he fights. He needs a fight at 130 to fill it out to see even because that's a huge jump from 126 to 135.
Yeah.
Gamboa was one of the best 126 pounders. I don't know if he could be beat at that weight almost. And he moved up to 135. You seen like he could no longer use his size, his speed, his power because everything is different at 135. It was just too much of a weight jump. And Gary Russell was almost the same height as Gamboa, and he's not as big, and I don't think he crack as hard.
No,
so at 135 is not his weight. And Gary, my guy, but I think he should stick to 126. And if he want to move up to 130. And if he's gonna fight a Gervonta Tank Davis, let it be 130. So that being said, can you hit the bell so we could move on to the next round?
Yeah. And I appreciate the comments.
And if y'all have any question, y'all can always throw the super chat, and we will definitely talk about it. And salute, fam, salute to all my Akhis. That being said, Professor Nim, the next fight or a dream fight for the fans is Shakur versus Gary Russell. Now they friends, however they calling each other out. That's possibly the only fight that could be made where the fighters are willing to fight each other. So, can that fight take place? And if it does, who you favor?
Man, that's a tough fight. I think talent-wise, I think Shakur is maybe a notch above Gary Russell, and that says a lot because I really think a lot about Gary's skill set, but I think Shakur has some qualities that can really make him special. Right now, I would give Gary the nod just because I think he's fought the better competition and he has the experience on his side. So it'll be similar to a situation where when Gary Russell fought Lomachenko maybe a little bit too early. That's hard to say because that was only Lomachenko's second fight. Or when Lomachenko fought,
fight.
Yeah, 7. Yeah, with that. Or when Lomachenko maybe fought Orlando Salido a little bit too early. So I'm saying that to say maybe that the most talented guy in that situation didn't necessarily win. I don't think it's gonna happen though. I do want to close by saying I don't think it's gonna happen.
Oh yeah, you going that far?
Not in the near future. I just don't see it.
Now I knew a fight that was possible was Tevin Farmer. However, Tevin Farmer lost to JoJo. He was planning on moving up and fighting Tevin Farmer, from what I heard. However, as far as Shakur, I do co-sign that because it ain't discrediting Gary Russell. I think Gary Russell the best and possibly the boogeyman at 126. Matter of fact, he is. And Shakur now he is the boogeyman coming up. However, Shakur is the future pound for pound #1 in my opinion. And I truly mean that. And his talent level is just on a whole nother level because he varies his offense, defense. He's so sharp defensively. I think Gary Russell lacks in the defensive department. He's not as sharp as Shakur. As far as his offense and his speed wise and all of that, Gary brings that to the table. But the only thing that that I feel like Shakur is edging him is the defensive department. And in boxing, usually the fighter at that level with that top of talent is with the better defense usually wins. And I think Shakur is the one with a better defense. Now, people say, oh, he's not experienced, this and that.
You favoring Shakur?
Yeah, I favor Shakur because remember when Muhammad Ali fought Sonny Liston, Muhammad Ali haven't proven himself that he's worthy and he could be a Sonny Liston. So talent matters. Sometimes when the talent gap is so huge, like I feel like Shakur just has a talent gap between him and any fighter.
And Gary Russell? Wow.
I mean, not just Gary.
But
I think
anybody,
any fighter.
any top level fighter.
In my opinion, and
that says a lot.
That's the potential that I'm seeing in the kid because, in my opinion, Shakur, like statistically, that even proves what I'm saying because statistically, I think he gets hit 13%, and that's less than Floyd back in his heyday. At his age. So I just want to point out that Shakur really has the talent and he has the best team behind him as well. So I trust that he's going to stay focused. Andre Ward is his mentor. Terrence Crawford is the guy he sparred with. He's sparring with the pound for pound #1 today. What do you think that's going to equal out? Him becoming pound for pound, in my opinion, iron sharpen iron, like you said.
I think he's on a short list of people. I also think
Devin Haney too, and
but I also think
Gervonta.
that percentage of him being connected against is gonna go up once his competition
I don't think it's gonna go
so?
up. But
what
I would say this: Mayweather have the best offense and defense combined together, not just defense.
Yeah.
Floyd Mayweather has both of them. I don't think Shakur possibly could top the offense part, but I'm pretty sure he could stay there with Floyd as far as the defense, because even Rigan Diaz did that. Now, speaking of Gervonta versus Gary Russell, that was a fight that was hyped up. How you see that after you saw Gary Russell last performance?
Oh, I don't think he wants that problems right now. Even with
He wants that problem. He do want that. I know he want it.
I mean, he says it, but at the same time with Davis, he's one of those people that I think that when he puts everything together, when he's focused, when he kind of cuts out the BS, I think is maybe one, you know what I'm saying, maybe one person that can beat him, and I don't think that person is Gary Russell Jr. at all.
Yeah, I think he give Gervonta a good fight. Gary Russell gives anybody a good fight, even Shakur. Like, don't get me wrong, I said I favor Shakur, but don't mean is a walk in the park. That's the toughest fight for Shakur. And same thing for Gervonta. I think that's a tough fight because of the speed. Because I got to give Lomachenko credit. When he fought Gary, regardless of what I say, of the benefits he get because he's on the hope list, but he did beat Gary Russell in an impressive fashion. And he had to use a lot of things that Gary Russell wasn't using. It's tools that he could pull off, but he's not using because he's relying on his speed. So he wasn't using the angles that he was supposed to, like Lomachenko, or switching stands the way Lomachenko was. It was just a beauty. So I got to give Loma. Loma did a lot, and it was a good fight too. And the body work too. I think Gervonta, on his best day of him focusing, of course, I have to favor Gervonta because he has that ish you can't teach, and the power, like Gary said, he has that FU on his punches. At the same time, if he comes in prepared the way he was against Gamboa, like not fully prepared, I'm going to have to go with Gary. I think he could upset Gervonta if he don't come 100% prepared. But 100% prepared Gervonta is just one of the best, period. He just has that ish you can't teach. That being said, let's move on to the next round.
Okay.
And I want to acknowledge the people on the chat. I appreciate every single one of my Akhis. And of course, Rap Critic Sean, OG Swag, and everybody in the chat. That being said, let's hop on to the next topic.
Tunnel Vision, and I want to give somebody a shout out just because I love their handle, is Leonard Ellaby's nose. And if anybody knows about the TMT camp, Leonard Ellaby definitely has a very strong nose presence.
And he moved up though. He the CEO now. You know what I'm saying? Put some respect on his name.
It is, but
the brother moving fresh now.
That's kind of a funny.
And I get it. We understand the humor. Now, of course, you hit the bell, obviously, and we on to the next round. And that's Rigan Diaz. He won a split decision versus. Forgot my man name. Solus?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll get there. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me connect the Bluetooth real quick. We do have a caller. Hold on, fam. I gotta connect you to the studio. Or you could just read some of the comments till I get the job done.
Okay, I definitely wanted to say something. So this one was a little bit up there in this. Sanctus Dos Cror, I want to say, says if you get paid to fight, you're a pro fighter. Lomo used a clause made by AIBA to earn money, maintain his amateur status, but it was irrefutably wasn't his second pro fight when he fought Salido. And that is common knowledge, but at the same time, he's not the only person that was able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, well, he took advantage of
that
it.
Loophole.
Props to him, but I'm saying it still was experience. I mean, you gained more experience fighting them guys that he fought with all the talent they had than just 5 fighters that they there to lose. They brought in to lose. Those guys came to win with no headgear, and you won 6 rounds. When you turn pro, you usually go 4 rounds against somebody that's brought in to lose. So of course, still experiencing him feeling comfortable fighting without headgear. Now that being said, my man 559 on the phone. How you doing, Akhi? Stay who this is and where you calling from?
This is yours Alex from Fresno, California.
Great talking to you again, fam. How you been?
Appreciate it, bro.
Oh, I'm great. I'm calling in because I usually agree with what you say, like 90% of the time.
Yes, sir.
But yesterday you confused me, Akhi, when you made the Gary Russell Jr. video. Do you think King Tut is a good fighter, or do you think he's like a upcoming fighter? What's your stance on it? Because you confused me.
Who?
The
King Tut, who Gary Russell
King Tut,
Jr.
the
fought
one he fought.
yesterday.
Oh yeah, no, I think he a good fighter. He impressed me because he stayed composed and stuff like that. So I didn't know he was that good prior to the fight. I mean, I heard that he was a silver medalist, and you a silver medalist. You know, last silver medalist from the U.S. was Shakur. So I knew he was semi good, but I didn't know how good he was. So I thought Gary was gonna stop him because I think Gary one of the best 126 pounders. So when he did perform he gave Gary a lot of problems in my opinion. I think Gary won comfortably, but he still gave Gary a tough time. Gary fought at a pace he wasn't comfortable with.
Yeah. One of Gary Russell Jr.'s weaknesses is fighting in the pocket. And King Tut, what a lot of people know about him, if you watch his fight, he's also a fast boxer. He has good hand speed and he has good footwork. So when he was fighting Gary Russell Jr., Gary Russell Jr. came in and he said, "This is going to be a chess match. This isn't going to be a match where I'm just going to be able to just outbox him and I'm just going to be able to flash him like I do with most of my other opponents." And he said that, and it's like a lot of fans and a lot of people that don't know about King Tut, they overlooked him and they basically thought that he's just gonna be a punching bag all over again, just like the normal opponents that he usually fights. But no, he put up a good fight, and his game plan was to put him in the pocket because he knew that that's one of Gary Russell's biggest weaknesses. Gary Russell Jr. He has good strength as far as power, but his punches are like, they remind me of the Flash from the DC comics. His punches, they're like accumulation punches. Yeah. They're not punches that like one hit quitters like Mike Tyson or Deontay Wilder or somebody like that.
You know, speed could translate to power, but the thing about, like I said, Gary, when he throws punches, sometimes he snaps. When you snap a punch, you're not putting leverage behind it. You're not, turning your body how you're supposed to, like all the way. Like Rigondeaux, when he throws his left compared to Russell, Russell is just kind of leaning forward with his shoulder to pop you with the left. He's just trying to land. Meanwhile, Rigondeaux, he's trying to punch through you. So, I think Gary has punching power when he chooses to, exchange or sit in the pocket like he did at some points of the fight.
And then sit down on his punches.
Yeah, when he sit down on his punches, he has power. And with the speed he has, if you don't see the punch coming, it's going to hurt you. But it ain't natural power. Like, it ain't no destructive power like Rigondeaux or Pacquiao or none of that.
Or Tank Davis.
Or Tank Davis, yeah.
But for me, what I saw early on in that fight was that I thought that Naomi had actually... I wouldn't say hurt Gary Russell, but really got his attention early on with a couple of right hands. And then to me, that when we noticed when Gary Russell was throwing some of his combinations, right, he was throwing them, but his intention was to get out of there after, as soon as I finish up this combination, I need to make sure that I'm moving my feet and pivoting to kind of get out the way. And then that's going to take away some of your power because you're not committed to punch all the way through the target, right? Yeah. So you want to hit the target and then be able to kind of get out the way.
So while he punching, basically what Professor Nim's saying is while he punching, his feet is already stepping to the outside, like he already stepping out, so he's not fully committing to his punches and he's not sitting down. But I think he a good inside fighter. I don't think he can't fight in the inside. I think he fights in the inside more comfortably than a Rigondeaux, but I just think he more of a boxer.
Yeah,
but
and
he
was
just need to
exposed
stay
against
active.
Lomo against his lack of inside.
Yeah, he just need to stay active. That's all. But I appreciate you for calling in, Akhi, man. Always pleasure talking to you.
And good insight, man. Appreciate that.
All right.
Appreciate the call.
Yeah, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, man. This is the very last thing I'm gonna say. It was basically a mirror version of himself. He just wasn't as good as Gary Russell Jr. I think that Gary Russell Jr. would be better if he was at 135. I know a short time. You guys have a good day. God bless you. Thank you for letting Jules Left call in.
I appreciate it, fam. Anytime. Peace. So, now I don't. I mess with my man, but I don't want to see Gary Russell at 135 after that performance. At least not yet.
Nah.
So that being said, moving on to the next topic, Rigondeaux won a split decision win, which he truly deserved because man, he been through so much. Boxing did him dirty, as y'all see his signature right there. Rigondeaux, when you're a real one, you know the real one's gonna recognize you. So I appreciate Guillermo Rigondeaux for the signature and autograph on the glove. However, speaking of his performance, remember in the first round, we were so mad.
I do remember.
I was so mad. I'm like, why is he sitting in the pocket, not doing a damn thing? And you pointed out he's just leaning on his front foot. And I'm like, what is he doing? You told me his legs was gone. I told you, I don't care about him moving like, flying like a butterfly, stinging like a bee, like Muhammad Ali. I'm not asking him to do all of that. All I'm asking him to do is fight his fight, quit trying to please the fans that never gave a damn. Fight your fight at 40. You cannot learn new tricks. You cannot teach an old dog new tricks. So stick with what you do best, and that's boxing. Just move around, take angles, and counter him and make him gunshot. And he realized and knew what's up because after the first round, after he got touched and even wobbled at one point because his opponent was a good fighter, he realized, you know what? Let me fight my fight instead of pleasing the fans that never gave a damn. So he started boxing, and then he had automatically his opponent second-guessing himself. And Rigondeaux, man, he used never miss a beat, man. Hitman, man. I remember Mayweather one time said, if you make a mistake, you have to pay. With Rigondeaux, you didn't even have to make a mistake. You could punch correctly. You could have your hand in the right placement and everything. Fundamentally, you 100% there and still get countered. You don't even have to make mistake. If you let your hands go, you will get hit. That's how sharp Rigondeaux was at one point. That's why I say he is shell of himself. But he still, with what he had, with his experience, he pulled off the win against a veteran opponent. And, man, I'm so happy for him because, like I said, boxing did him dirty. They allowed all these fighters to avoid him. Bob Arum shit on him. His own promoter, excuse my language, but I just have to tell it like it is. He messed up his cash cow Donaire. And that was all she wrote. So that being said, Donaire at the time, of course, just to point it out, Max Kellerman said Max Kellerman said if he in the same weight division as Mayweather, he will be favored. And then Rigondeaux came on and beat him like he was a nobody. So speaking of Rigondeaux' last performance, sum up what took place in that fight from your perspective and your comment on how Rigondeaux was mistreated in the sport of boxing.
Yeah, I'll kind of end on that note. But one thing I want to say, I want to give Rigondeaux props for that fight. I thought he, under the circumstances, his age, I thought he fought an excellent fight. Because I'm not gonna lie, in the first round, I thought he was a shot fighter. One thing we were talking about, he was fighting on the inside. He wasn't kind of moving his opponent around. He wasn't being clever with his footwork. And not only that, but his weight was over his front foot, so that makes you susceptible to an uppercut. And it's just bad technique. And then a couple of times it seemed that he got his legs stiffened by some really good punches, and I thought those were signs of a shot fighter. And for me, it was kind of a sad moment.
Yeah.
And then something, I don't know if it was a corner, but something just clicked in him. And even though this wasn't a young Rigondeaux, but his boxing acumen and it was still there as far as so he doesn't have the quickest feet anymore, but he knows how to get himself in different positions. He understands angles. Anybody?
Them beautiful uppercuts. We can't ignore them.
I mean, beautiful. His left hand is beautiful. The one thing I've always, for as talented a fighter as he is, he really doesn't use his right hand at all, except to maybe to kind of prop up his opponent and doing that left. But he's still a genius fighter in his own right, and I think that he has a new lease on his boxing life now after that performance.
Yeah, and we just cannot ignore the bolo punch. That's what they call it in Cuba when Muhammad Ali went there. You know, the legendary Cuban fighter at the heavyweight division at the time showed him the punch that's called the bolo punch, and that's the uppercut. That's like it's all the way
you
from
bringing
Cuba.
it, yeah, you bringing it all the way back
from Cuba.
From that.
And he caught my man with it and hurt him with, man. And the guy, like, he had too much heart because he fell down the rope, you know, and then try to get up right away. Like, bro, you already fell on the rope. You know it's going to be considered a knockdown. Like, why are you even going to get up and get hit again when you were badly hurt? But it's a natural instinct.
Yeah,
the fighter have too much heart.
Yeah.
I got to give him props, but I love what Regan Diaz did. Cuban fighters, I must point out, they rely a lot on reflexes. So a lot of their technique, you know, is really timing and, you know, upper body movement more so than just, you know, hand speed. They teach you how to move your feet before they teach you how to move your hands. And that's why they have one of the best boxing schools, if not the best in boxing today. That being said, Regan Diaz, like I said, the reason why I say he's been mistreated because the Lomachenko incident, for example, which we're going to touch on in a second. Let me just connect to the studio and talk to my Akhi real quick, my brother. Let's call him.
Yo.
How you doing, Akhi? Who this is and where you calling from?
Yeah, this Big Joe. I'm from Arizona.
Arizona in the house. How you
you?
doing, Akhi?
What's going on, Akhi? Hey, I wanted to call because I know they're talking about maybe Spence fighting Pacquiao, and I think definitely Spence can get with Pacquiao. I just don't like the fact that he's going to fight after this accident. I kind of wanted him to get one fight in, even if it's versus, say, Garcia, and I say Garcia is the bust because I know Garcia can fight. Mm-hmm. But I'd rather see him fight a Garcia or someone before Pacquiao's a monster. I don't know why I keep going on YouTube and people keep thinking that Earl's going to come in and smash Pacquiao. He's not going to do that. If Mayweather came back, no one's smashing those two dudes right now, unfortunately. So I'm a big Errol Spence fan. But I do think Earl can get with him. I just don't think I don't think for the first fight, him coming back from this injury, I wouldn't want to see him fight this monster right now. I'd say give him at least until probably the fall, at least the fall or maybe even the spring. But other than that, man, one reason why I've been calling, man, I can't. I look at these other sites, man. You know, I mess with Dante, I mess with Box Eagle, obviously I mess with
Shout out.
There's these other cats on here, man. I don't want to. I ain't gonna clown them, but it's like you can't ever. You can beat them, but it's like these Canelo dudes, man. It's like you can't fight Canelo because you're not worth it. Who has your favorite fighter fight? Canelo can do this. Canelo can pick who he wants to choose. I'm like this, bro. This man already had chosen 3 or 4 different fights. Rocky Fielding, 2 other busters. He skipped the whole 154. Didn't want to see both Charlo brothers. Didn't want to see J-Rock. Didn't want to see Hurd. They've all were champions when he was hitting that 154. He didn't want to see none of them. He skips them, fights a nobody, then fights Gennady as if God. And we all know Gennady is a great white hope. They want to make him more than what he is.
Preach.
I'm just being honest.
This is some of your fam that called in.
I want to see different nationalities winning because they're always losing. But you want to see a mixed group of people fight. I get that, but they're trying to make certain fighters God's gift of the world, bro, and it's getting to a point now. So
what I'm getting from you is you saying they trying to get these fighters on the hope list to hang in there with the brothers. Is that what you saying?
Akhi, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I'm not trying to get racial, but I noticed that, like, whether everybody Canelo or even Gigi, certain promoters and certainly certain fighters, they don't want to fight. I'm gonna be honest. They don't want to fight the athletic brothers. I'm talking about dudes who can bounce, who can hit, who can move, who can crack. The athletic boxers. They don't want to mess with the athletic brothers. They don't want to. They don't want to mess with Andre, and they don't want to mess with Charlo. And I'm not gonna try to say that Charlo and Andre can kill everybody because I know they can't. But I know they got hella skills. And you notice I knew of Andre before I knew of Canelo. Andre was an up and coming guy. He was an Olympic guy. He was a beast. And you know, he had that trouble with the contract, so he was out for a year. But I get it now. He goes to Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn gives him these potato peeler killer fights, all these bomb dudes, and he can't catch a fight on the zone trying to fight a Canelo who's on the zone too. So Canelo is just picking and choosing. It's getting to a point now where it's like he dictates what he wants to do, and the WBC is letting him do that. They never let the brothers do that, but they're letting him do that.
Yeah, I mean, because it's run by Suleiman, who's his Mexican the family. But I do want to say, because this is a debate show, this is a split decision, I do want to counter some of your points. So you said that Canelo skipped the whole 154 division?
Yeah, Charlo and Andre. And
well, but hold on, but kind of, because I'm pretty sure he fought Austin Trout, who was undefeated. I'm pretty sure he fought Lara there. I'm pretty sure he fought James Kirkland. He fought. He fought. But what I'm saying, at the time he only had one loss, and he was a monster.
To who?
And then he fought. He fought the Mexican guy Pit Bull or what. And you can say that, but to say that he skipped 154. These were all supposed to be monsters. You got to think about. But all of those guys, they were like. Those were monsters at 154.
Well,
to say that he skipped that, I don't know how genuine that statement is.
Well, okay. Well, I'll say this. You're right. He did fight Trout. Trout was gonna be a guy for a minute. He was decent for a minute. I get that. He lost to Lara, and I get that too. A lot of people didn't want to fight Lara. So
yeah, he lost to Lara.
I agree with you on that.
But he didn't want to give Lara a rematch, and he fought Angulo after Angulo got tattooed by Lara, and he fought Kirkland after Kirkland got knocked out by a guy with 6 knockouts in the first round. You see what it looked like now, and Floyd Mayweather, to my brother that's calling through from 480. Where you from again?
I'm from Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona. Like basically what my man's trying to say, Floyd Mayweather whipped almost every Mexican on their own independent day, and Canelo won't fight the brothers and get back for Mayweather whipping his people. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's all I'm trying to say. But appreciate you for calling in. We got to keep the
from
show
Arizona,
rolling.
man. Hey, I appreciate it, and I do appreciate your insight.
Yeah.
Like I will say that you did have some facts in out there, and we might not agree on them 100%, but these are not just ad hominems, and those are some good
facts.
arguments.
At the end of the day, I appreciate you.
All right, appreciate it, man. Appreciate the call.
So like I said, I just want to finish up with the Lomachenko situation when he fought, because a lot of people kept coming at me, telling me, man, what are you talking about, Akhi? Quit making excuses for Rigondeaux when he fought Lomachenko. And it's like, I'm not making excuses, I'm just stating the facts. And that was when Lomachenko was at 126. Rigondeaux was trying his hardest to fight him. And Lomachenko was blaming it on the money. Sometimes he was blaming it on the weight and stuff like that.
He felt that he wasn't going to get kind of credit for that.
But listen, hear me out. Lomachenko, he blamed it on multiple stuff. One day he will say the money. One day he will say this and that. And then when he was at 130, when he moved up, he made Rigondeaux move up 2 weight divisions, claiming he could no longer make 126 or whatever the reason might be. And now they talking about making Lomachenko versus Inoue at 126. I'm like, what? You just said you can no longer make 126 when you was at 130, but when you at 135, speaking of today, you could still make 126. It's like, it's a slap in the face. And Rigondeaux, from what we know, and that's a fact, Rigondeaux was inactive. Fighting like one time a year, even if he was fighting one time a year, that was good. He wasn't even fighting one time a year. Coming off a fight where it took him only 1 round because he got his opponent got disqualified for acting like he got hit on the head or something like that. I don't recall correctly, but the point I'm trying to make, Rigondeaux was 10 years older. Rigondeaux was moving up 2 weight divisions. He fought at 118. Speaking of yesterday, and he fought Lomachenko at 130. That's 3 weight divisions. And at them lower weight divisions, that's a huge jump for a small guy. He came into the fight at 121 last night to show that he really is small 118 pounder. And he fought at 130. So, like I said, Lomachenko took advantage. He didn't want to fight him at 126.
At the same time, he had bad promotion throughout his career. We don't...
Why is it bad promotion when he upset it?
It doesn't have to all be about Lomachenko. So it really, I would like to point at his promoter, and that was Bob Arum at one point, because even when it came to Donaire, he tried to feed him to Donaire in particular. But one time after a fight, Bob Arum wasn't particularly happy in how Rigondeaux fought his opponent, and then he went. So this is a promoter who has a fighter, and then he went and did the interview and said, "I don't know who would want to pay to see this guy fight." And he was like, I don't know how to promote him.
This guy's born.
And he would, and I'm like, that's your fighter. And like, why would you undermine your own efforts by trashing your own boxer? And I thought that was the equivalent to malpractice. Because look, your job is to promote him,
and he's doing the opposite.
And then you're doing the exact opposite. So I think that goes beyond Lomachenko. I think all things considered,
I'm not blaming Lomachenko for that. He took advantage, but all I'm trying to say is, like when Bob Arum did that, right? It recycles. Fans repeat it. I mean, when they criticized Floyd Mayweather at the time, like Jim Lampley and Larry, they had nothing bad to say about Mayweather, so they'd be like, "Oh, he boring." They just throw a statement out there on TV when like a million people watching, so of course it get recycled and everybody starts saying it, and it become that's the first thing they think when they think about that fighter. So when your own promoter say that about you, of course the fans gonna come at you and be like, "Oh, well, Rigondeaux boring," and you bash your own fighter instead of promoting him. Meanwhile, with Lomachenko, you see what Bob Arum is doing. He going on and beyond. He giving him a title shot. Even after he loses his second bout, he give him another title shot, back to back on some Drake-ish. Why? Is it because he a fighter on the hope list and Rigondeaux is a fighter on the coincidental list? Because Rigondeaux at the time upset it Donaire. So that was his ticket. He hit the lotto. That's supposed to be his ticket to fame. Instead, you kill him.
It is, but like, let's talk about Rigondeaux. Like, I think we can talk about Rigondeaux without Loma. We don't have to, because there's some good news.
I'm replying to the people that said, "Oh man, Lomachenko beat him fair and square." He did not beat him fair and square. How you beat somebody fair and square when they moved up 2-weight division, when they 10 years older than you?
I know, but that happened
when
years
they
ago.
Inactive. But I'm saying that's the video I made just today. You know, a lot of people watched it, so some people critique. So I'm responding to those. So I would love to talk to these real people. Like I said, if they want to call in, I want the smoke.
Rigondeaux literally runs. I would not say that. I don't know if you've really probably boxed or know that much, but I wouldn't say that he literally runs. I don't think that's so.
How is he?
I think that he sets traps, and then he will lay you out
But, and Muhammad Ali does Muhammad Ali run? That person that said that, does Muhammad Ali run the greatest?
A lot of people say Floyd runs. Some people say Lara runs.
Yes, you trying to say Muhammad Ali run because he move around? And Rigondeaux in the Olympics, he used to move and float like a butterfly, like Ali used to. But when he turned pro, he was moving around. Even when he beat Donaire, he only moved around. He did not, we have a caller though. Let me pick up. But I appreciate everybody that's calling.
Yeah, Iceman, call in because I guess he's got an issue.
This is probably him.
All right.
How you doing, fam? Who this is and where you calling from?
Hey, what's going on, man? It's Tunnel Vision representing Connecticut.
Tunnel Vision, what's good? What's good with you?
Let me see where your Tunnel Vision is looking at.
All right, man. When it comes to this, when it comes to Rigondeaux, when it comes to the time frame where he's with Top Rank, everything you're saying is true. You know what I'm saying? And we have to look at that time frame and be like, yeah, they did him dirty. And
Absolutely.
HBO also did him dirty. You know what I mean? With the things that they did when it pertains to him.
Facts.
But after that, I'm going to have to put the brakes on that. Because once he left Top Rank, he had options. There's things that he could have done. He could have signed with Al Haymon. And Larry was telling him, yo, sign with Al Haymon, sign with Al Haymon, sign with Al Haymon. He was saying the same thing to Gamboa.
Yeah.
Yo, sign with Al Haymon, sign with Al Haymon.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gamboa signed with 50 Cent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and these are people, who had basically all the fighters that he wanted to fight, and people actually that would have showed him love and actually would have promoted him as a fighter.
But you know that's a fact though. Like that Al Haymon and they were trying to sign him because I know people. He was free, now, right? but I don't know.
He's signed now, right?
Yeah, he is signed now.
With Al Haymon now. Why? If they would sign him now, when he's basically damaged goods,
Why wouldn't they have signed him when he was one of the top fighters in the world?
They absolutely did.
When they had the opportunity to sign Manny Pacquiao, they signed Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah.
You know, they'll sign other people. They don't. If you're a good fighter, they will sign you. They're not. They've never been on this weird thing like other promotional companies are.
But
Okay, but-
I have
hey,
to point
but-
out. I have to point out what are your thoughts on, you know, like let's say Gary Russell is with Al Haymon, right, and he didn't get the Cruz fight. So
No, he's
sometimes
not
you
with Al Haymon.
cannot.
No, he's not with Al Haymon.
Gary Russell is not with Al
He's not
Haymon.
with no.
I don't think so.
Gary Russell has made multiple interviews where he said that yes, he does business with Al Heyman, but he is not.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He's doing business with him. So
his brothers are signed
so
to him.
yeah. So my point is,
listen.
listen to me. So the point is, Cruz versus Gary Russell is possible, but it never took place because Al Haymon cannot force Cruz to fight him. Cruz just don't want the smoke. So what I'm saying is, with Rigondeaux, regardless if he signed with Al Haymon or not, he was not gonna get the Morris of the world, the Quigg, the Frampton, because they didn't fight Gary Russell either, who does business with Al Haymon. So my point is, Rigondeaux would have got ducked regardless because he was pound for pound one of the best for years, and nobody wanted to come see him. You know what I mean? So it's not the issue of the. So regardless of him even positioning himself in the right place, he still would not get the fights because he was that feared. Like he was that good. They felt like they can't beat him.
I'm gonna have to disagree with that just due to the fact that they used to say the same things about Errol Spence. But what Errol Spence did was Errol Spence stayed active. Errol Spence kept going because he did things that Gary Russell didn't do. He was in the same position as Gamboa was. Not Gamboa, as Rigondeaux was, when all these top guys didn't want to fight him. But unlike Gary Russell fights once a year and then he usually disappears. And then when it's time for him to fight again, let's say a month, 2 months, that's when he starts calling out people again and yapping up names, and then he has his fight, and then he disappears again. What Errol Spence did was, being in the same situation, he was at all the fights. He was at Danny Garcia's fights. He was at Porter's fights. He was at Keith Thurman's fights. And then he also stayed active. He fought all these fighters. He fought, and in fighting all these other fighters, he became more popular and more popular and more popular, and got into a situation where financially it made no sense for you guys to fight him anymore.
I get you. I see your point that you coming from.
So they could have did the same thing.
Yeah, well, let me time in real quick.
Let me ask him a question.
Let me time in real quick. Let me time in real quick to that. I agree with you. You know, sometimes it's on the fighter too, but Errol Spence has the it factor to be a superstar. You talking about Errol Spence, a guy that could promote himself, that talk English, that speak English, that has the time to grow. Like, you know, he's younger in the game. You talking about, on the other hand, Rigondeaux, he was older. He don't speak English. He really can't promote himself that much. He could rap. We're going to throw his freestyle real quick later on before we end this round. But what I'm saying is he don't speak English. I mean, Cruz, even at one point, he said when Dante interviewed him, he said, would you fight Rigondeaux for $1 million? He said, no, $2 million. So Dante was like, $2 million? He said, no, $3 million. So Dante was like, $3 million in a bid. He was like, yeah, $3 million in a bid. Like, he wants that. So it's like I said, you cannot force fighters to fight at the end of the day. Errol Spence, he has the it factor to become a cash cow. And when he did, now they want to fight him. But not everybody in this Errol Spence, not everybody have the appeal to attract people in a major way. So,
yeah, but and then one thing, Tunnel Vision, I would say that there's some good arguments on both sides, but I think we all agree that his first situation really tainted his brand. When he did come from Top Rank, right? So he wasn't in a position where he had all of this leverage or this capital that he had built up because he had a promoter that was working against him. All right, so hold on one second, television, 1 second. So I mean, with that said, he did have an opportunity to kind of right that ship. What do you think was his biggest mistake after like leaving Top Rank, and then what do you think led to that?
I think his biggest mistake was signing with Rock Nation, just due to the fact that Rock Nation was an entity that came into the game basically trying to poach all Al Heyman's fighters, and they put themselves into a position where they weren't doing any business with Al Heyman, which basically was all the fighters that Rigondeaux would have had to fight. That's the wanted to fight.
That was number one. But even if he, quote, didn't get those fighters, the other big mistake was he signed with an entity that was working pretty much strictly with HBO Network that was pissing on him and trashing him on a consistent basis.
Right,
I think if he had I think if he had did something like, let's say, sign with Al Haymon, even if he, quote, didn't get these, quote, fights, he would have been active. This is a guy that would have been fighting 3-4 times a year. He would have been making really good money, and his name would have been built up, I believe, to the point where one of these guys would have fought him.
All right, so with that said,
because they would have been put in, but that was his biggest mistake. Signing with Rock Nation was the worst thing he could have done.
Yeah, appreciate you. That's a great point. Like I said, if you want to succeed in boxing, sign with Al Haymon. That's basically what Tunnel Vision is saying.
I blame Jay-Z. All right, man. Appreciate the love, Tunnel Vision.
All right, good luck.
Yeah, so I agree with Tunnel Vision on that one. I'm going to call everybody right back. But for the meantime...
one thing I wanted to say, because I think what was lost in all of this is the fact that Rigondeaux did win. He has a belt. And whatever it is, we could kind of talk about the missteps. But he did something that to me was some of the most exciting news over the weekend.
He won another strap at another division by a split decision.
But what else happened after that?
He called out and knew.
Exactly. That should be the news.
Right. Let's talk about what's up. Okay, man. I'm glad you woke me up, man. I forgot about that.
That should be the news. Like,
so he said, I'm hunting the monster. Whenever the monster in Inoue is ready, tell him to call my phone. Like, he said, basically, he gonna do to Bob Arum, new fighter, that's supposedly the new Donaire, he gonna Donaire him again. Let's Bob make that happen. Gonna let it happen.
Let's make that happen. I think so. Now. I think so.
You think Bob Arum gonna let it happen?
I think so because one thing, it's a well-respected name.
Okay.
It's a strap now, and it's also somebody that he's not the. I don't think he's shot. I think he showed some. I don't think that he is the same fighter, but I also think Inoue is a beast. And I actually told you. So what did I tell you when we said that fight get made? Like
you said he would stop him.
I think he sleeps.
If he do that, what he did, you know what he did in the first round? If he do that again, he gets stopped.
Yeah.
But if he boxes and if he have one good performance like Pacquiao did left in him, I think he could pull it off, man. I think my man could pull it off in a tough fight where he get robbed. But I'm not even going to hype myself up. I think Inoue possibly smokes him, like you said, because Inoue, one of my favorite fighters in the game today, he a beast from Japan. But I would love to see the fight because I didn't see him fight Donaire. And Donaire is supposed to be washed up. And he gave him the fight of the year.
He did.
And that was his first name fight.
He hurt him a couple of times.
He hurt him. So we don't know if Rigondeaux 118 could possibly do the same and discourage him. Because he will give him opportunities to counter. Like I said, at the end of the day, like I told you earlier, Rigondeaux is not as sharp as he used to be. You used to make a mistake and have to pay. You used to be perfect and still get paid. You don't have to make a mistake and you still get hit. However, now you can make a lot of mistakes and he won't make you pay. But when he do make you pay, he gonna hurt you with that straight left. So that being said, I would love to see that fight. The only reason the fight cannot take place if Bob Arum says absolutely not, because he feel like Rigondeaux is still a threat, because Inoue is still an orthodox fighter, so Rigondeaux is still a little tricky for him. He might bring a puzzle for Inoue that he can't solve. He might not. He might, Inoue might solve it. At the end of the day, we'd love to see it. So that's a fight that's on the future plans for sure. That being said, you want to take a call real quick?
Yep.
Yeah, let me take a call. You can read some of the comments.
Read a couple. So there's a lot of kind of back and forth in views about Rigondeaux and Donaire. I won't jump into the Charlo and Canelo fray right now, but it seems that people are passionate about that. But once we get into that, once we get to that, I'll start reading those comments.
So if the caller is talking like that's why I try to stick with the topic.
Yeah. So so Sanctus dos Croer said that Donaire broke Inoue's orbital bone. Riga hits that eye, it's a wrap. So are you saying that you pick Rigondeaux?
And Rigondeaux, he broke who elbow bone?
Yeah,
Donaire when he fought him. So it's a great point. So like I said, if my man don't pick up, we're gonna possibly move on to the next topic. Or he did. How you doing, Akhi? Where you calling from, and who this is? Oh no, he ain't. I don't know what's happening, but
What was the
I don't know.
area code?
Let me call him again. Just make sure. So, like I said, Ricky India, at the end of the day, he's a problem for anybody. So,
I want to give a shout out to Matthew Valentine. Salute.
Akhi.
All right, we got the super chat. He said, Rigo beat that boy and still Gary Dog Tug. What y'all thinking? Akhi Spence would dog Pac. Talking about Pac-Man. Excuse me. Anyway.
Okay.
So maybe possibly.
What? Errol Spence?
Yeah, Errol Spence against Pac.
Stop Pac, man. I'm sorry, all the Pacquiao fans, but man,
Right
Errol
now,
Spence
you think just
violated.
right now without knowing what he looks like?
If there's a blood test, that's all she wrote. How you doing, Akhi? Where you calling from, and who this is?
Yeah, I'm Daniel from LA.
LA. What up, Daniel? What's up?
What's going on, man? Man, I was just looking up at the show, man. I was like, man, this is a good show, but I got a couple things I gotta say about, my boy Pacquiao,
Oh, okay.
I like the Errol fight,
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're here to talk about that. I got you. So who you got?
Man, I got Pac-Man, man. I feel like that'll be his last fight, you know what I'm saying?
So you got Pac. You think who that's gonna be who last fight? Errol Spence or Pacquiao?
I feel like it could be both their last fights. I was talking about Pacquiao in terms of he's gonna have to squeeze out every ounce of whatever he got left in the tank to be able to beat a guy like Spence. But I feel like Spence coming off that car crash, I don't feel like he's gonna be there 100%. Plus, I feel like he's coming too soon.
Yeah.
Ain't no telling.
I think that's why Pacquiao wants to make that fight right now.
That's why I feel like Pacquiao is a perfect time for him to take that fight right now.
Exactly.
Don't take no Garcia, no Mikey, none of these other guys. I feel like Spence is the bigger, bag for him, and I feel like it looks way better on his resume if he didn't beat Broner, Thurman, and he happens to beat, Spence.
If he does that, if he comes out and cleans out the welterweight division,
that's legendary.
At 40
man.
old.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves.
Wow.
Errol Spence still the truth, and then I don't see him passing Errol. I mean, I love Pacquiao, but man, that's a tough task. I just give him respect for fighting him if he does.
And then please don't forget about this guy named Terrence Bud Crawford.
Yeah, Terrence. So I don't know about cleaning out the welterweight division at this stage. That's too much to ask for a 41-year-old. I'm gonna just keep it a buck with you.
It's crazy, yeah, because I feel like fight with Pacquiao, it'd be like, yeah, I feel where you're coming from, like a lot of people always doubt him. Like even with Thurman, they were like, nah, he too old, Thurman gonna put a beat down on him. I mean, he was doing good some rounds, but I mean, I feel like, Pacquiao's been proving, people wrong for like decades now.
Decades to what? 4 decades? But like this is the 4th decade. That's the key word.
Right.
I mean, the older you get, the harder it become. And you talking about you facing the truth. I just don't see that happening. But I appreciate you, fam. I got some other people on the line. When we do get to the Pacquiao topic, call in again though.
All right, thanks for showing us some Cali love.
Appreciate it.
For sure, man.
All right, bro.
My man calling through. Hold on. I have him on hold. My man, I got him on hold. Let me remove it real quick. How you doing? 651. Where you calling from and who this is?
Good, man. This is Don Perignon.
Don
Perignon. I see.
I thought he said Dante for a second.
Nah,
I thought my man
Don
called
Perignon.
in for real.
He out that exquisite. What's good? Where you calling from, Don Perignon?
Yeah, it was good, man. I'm from the Twin Cities over here in the Midwest.
I see you.
Minnesota.
What you got in your mind?
What's the topic right now, bro? Can't listen to the...
Okay, I'll let you know what's the topic now. We about to dive in. We was talking about Ricky and Diao for the moment, but the next round will be Dante and Fury, Deontay Wilder and Fury.
Oh man, I got Wilder on that one for sure, man.
You got Wilder, like I'm guessing you got KO because obviously Wilder's not gonna outbox Tyson Fury. So give me a round, Twin City.
Honestly, I'll say 7th to 8th round knockout by Wilder.
Oh man, he going for that bazooka.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know,
I judge a fighter by the last performances, not by the overall
that's
resume.
clever.
Yeah.
And Fury, he looked fucking like shit against that Otto Whalen guy or whatever.
Yeah, you're right about that. And the thing is, those opponents that you fought, the last two opponents that you fought since you fought Wilder, are not gonna get you prepared for a rematch with Deontay Wilder. And then at least Deontay, he fought Dominique Brazil, which I've never been a big fan of his. But he
Still,
also
is it
slept
better? Yeah,
Luis Ortiz, who
but
is
it's the
easily
same
a top
fashion.
three.
And you got to keep in mind, Brazil better opponent than Wilder and Tom Schwartz or whatever his name was that Tyson Fury fought. But credit to Tyson Fury, he do come off bad performances like that and pull off an upset like he did with Klitschko.
He
and
fights
the
to the
first
level of
Wilder
his
fight.
competition. He fights
like,
up or down to his competition.
Right. So I appreciate you for calling in, though. I got a lot of callers, so I'm gonna have to let you go, fam. Appreciate you for tuning in. Peace.
All right, Twin City. So Matthew Valentine, I'll say this because he did give us a super chat. He's saying that Wilder would, I'm guessing, outbox Fury. Really? Matthew, I would like you to call in and defend those words. I don't see it happening.
Yeah, and y'all from the number y'all could state y'all name or text me to that number too to hold position because I have a lot of call-ins and we got to keep the show rolling for the moment. So let's talk about the next business at hand. Hit the bell, Professor Nim. That's your topic. Let's talk about it. Paulie Malignaggi came out, and you could clear up what he said in particular because you informed me on the news.
I did. So Paulie had an interview this weekend, I believe, with it's a schmo. It's like the schmo and the pro. I don't know if you've seen it. It's a guy, pretty funny. He gets into character, but one of the things that they talked about is that Paulie mentioned that he was banned from covering any of Wilder's fights, and the schmo was like, "What's going on with that?" And I guess Wilder's team, or maybe even Wilder himself, has an issue that Paulie felt that Tyson Fury won the first fight, which is just an opinion. And it's just, as Paulie said, it's just math. If I think that this person won 8 rounds or won 9 rounds and you run these other rounds and then there's another extra point, it's simple mathematics and trying to bring that up. And it's okay to have that opinion because one thing, it can be based on something quantitative, which is counting up the rounds that you think somebody won within a particular fight. So not only that, I found that a little surprising because Paulie, I think, is a good analyst. And it's not about targeting one boxer. I think anytime that Paulie thinks that somebody didn't get a decision that he felt that deserved, he's been very outspoken about talking about that. Yeah. But it also begs the bigger question about journalism and how far you should go to make sure that you kind of stamp out a certain narrative because you don't like that particular narrative.
Yeah,
right?
But you got to keep in mind, for Deontay Wilder's defense, Paulie is very influential when he's on Showtime, commentating. He could influence a lot of people that's watching. And he went far and beyond, claiming basically it was a robbery. This is what's wrong with the sport. And this and that, when the fight itself, if we being fair and we be honest about Deontay Wilder versus Fury, there was 6 punches separating them that was landed. Tyson Fury only landed 6 or 7 punches. I know it was not more than 10 punches. And we're talking about for a full 12 rounds. So the fight was closer than a lot of people were saying, and Wilder had 2 knockdowns. So if you put that in the equation, Wilder having 2 knockdowns, and there was only 7 punches that Tyson Fury landed more so than Deontay Wilder, then it could be a draw. So Deontay Wilder felt like Paulie went far and beyond and claiming it was a robbery when it wasn't that. It was a close fight, and it was a draw, and we get to run it back. But Paulie, he felt like that Paulie went far and beyond, and that's... of course, he's being outspoken. Paulie's being himself, and that's part of journalism. But personal. At the end of the day, it's hurting Deontay Wilder because every time he does an interview, he hear about Paulie talking about it was a robbery. He be like, "Is you serious? I've been fighting on this network for I don't know how long. Like, I basically made my debut there, And instead of you promoting me or give credit where credit is deserved because the fight was close, you saying it was a robbery, he felt like that Paulie had something to say on him because if we being honest, Paulie one of my favorite guys too that does commentary. But the problem with Paulie lately, he been focusing on too much of the negative instead of the positive. Well, with all his knowledge, he could promote Deontay Wilder when he's fighting. Look, I know Deontay Wilder is not the best technical fighter in the world. However, at the same time, he could lose every second of every single round. But all he has to do is be perfect for 1 second, and he could win the fight by KO, because that's all she wrote. He could inform the fans that don't know about Deontay Wilder, because there's a lot of casual fans that's tuning in. They just want to see the KO. But meantime, while they watching, they hearing you bashing him for his technique and all of that, instead of appreciating him for what he bringing to the table. So that's why Deontay Wilder, he felt like that, okay, this guy's focusing on the negative instead of the positive. Just like the other commentary too during the Rigondeaux fight. They were pointing out, people booing. Like what? Like Boxing Ego said, man, when Bradley fought Provodnikov, which was the fight of the year, they stopped fighting for a couple seconds and the fans started booing. Yeah. Let the fans do what they do. They drunk. They over there. Of course, let them do what they do. You focus on your job, informing the viewers, just like the UFC do. They never bash the fighter to that extent, from what I've seen. Obviously, I don't watch UFC like that. From what I've seen, the commentary is usually pretty good. But boxing, they always bash the fighter, and they started to kind of get back to the HBO roots, where Jim Lampley and Larry used to bash and focus on the negative of Floyd Mayweather instead of giving credit.
Bash seems strong. I think it's okay to have critique or even be critical about a boxer, and if he felt that, bash is where you go out of your way to tear down a certain boxer. I don't.
Well, that's how Deontay Wilder felt. That he was going out of his way to bash him, saying it was a robbery when the fight was really close. It was only 7 punches separating them. With Deontay Wilder that could have closed the gap.
Because you don't agree with that, you say I don't want him working my fights.
Because
because you
Fox
don't agree
Sport,
with that.
That's not Showtime. Fox Sport, that's PBC. PBC, Paulie don't even work there. Period.
What? No, but he worked. But the fight is gonna be on Showtime.
Showtime. The fight will be on PBC Fox.
Yeah, but excuse me, ESPN. Yes, so they have the joint agreement.
Paulie only works as a commentator for Showtime. He's not fighting for Showtime. I understand where Paulie's coming from as far as Deontay Wilder bashing him and stuff, but you got to take the good with the bad. Like, if you're going to make a public statement out like that, it's a robbery and this and that, of course Paulie going to stick by his guns, as he should. But in my opinion, he did go far and beyond by critiquing Deontay Wilder too much. Because like I said, he focusing on the fact that, he's not as technical. Because remember, fighters who commentate, like Paulie, Roy Jones, and who else? George Foreman. Mm-hmm. What I realized is every fighter focus on what he remembers from fighting. Like Paulie, for example, he always talk about a fighter character, because Paulie Malignaggi character got tested a lot because he didn't have the punching power to earn a lot of his opponent's respect. So he had the character to dig down deep and fight and pull off the win. So he always talk about fighters' characters, as you seen when he talks about Broner, etc. When you hear Roy Jones, you see he talk about the mentality. When you go in the ring, you got to think you're the best, this and that. Because from his perspective, that's what he was seeing every time he stepped in the ring. George Foreman, this is the funny one. He always talking about fighter getting gassed out, because he got gassed out when he fought Muhammad Ali in Africa. Remember, in the 8th round, he punched himself out, and Muhammad Ali was doing the rope-a-dope, and the last thing George Foreman remembers is you got to pace yourself and not punch yourself out. So he always mentioned fighters, he looked fatigued, he done, he this and that. When the fighter is probably not that tired, sometimes he'd be correct, sometimes he's not, but they point out the things that apply to them. Paulie Malignaggi is a boxer. Just like Tyson Fury. I think he's the Tyson Fury of the heavyweight division. I think Tyson Fury is a better fighter, though.
Paulie Malignaggi.
Yeah. I think Tyson Fury is a better technical fighter, in my opinion. In heavyweight, he has better defense, in my opinion. But he still have the same style. He don't have the best punching power in the world. So Paulie could relate to what Tyson Fury is doing. And he sees it and he appreciates it. But he's also not appreciating what Deontay Wilder is doing at the same time. That's what I think. I just think from his perspective is what he's seeing because that's what he experienced. But to your point, what do you say to that?
I would like to say that in the spirit of journalism is that we live in a free nation. We have the First Amendment right, which is super critical. And I think it's okay to have dissent. And I actually think that's healthy. I don't think that you don't want to just come up in this echo chamber with a bunch of yes men. Why you think Broner has so many issues? Because he don't have people that will sit him down and kind of check him and be like, man, you clowning. And you know what? You actually lost that round. You need to step up. You need to throw your hands more instead of always just telling him, oh, you doing good. Yeah, you won that round. Nah, you lost that round because you only threw 12 punches.
Man, I beat that boy. I beat that boy. Man, he thought he'd be Pacquiao, but that's my man. I'm just saying, I get what you're saying from.
And then one last point is that, so there was, I said that I would bring this up because it goes both ways.
Yeah.
So there was some issue about Stephen A. Smith. Right. So Stephen A. Smith, when he watched the Conor McGregor fight against Cowboy Cerrone, he said that he felt that you didn't learn much from that fight because Cowboy didn't show up. And this is not a MMA station, but I was telling Akhi that Cowboy has a history of when it comes to his biggest fights, when he's main eventing, he does not show up. He basically just wilts. He gets knocked out usually within seconds. And that is just a part of his narrative. And that was something that they talked about going in. So Stephen A. Smith was not wrong in bringing that up. And then they bashed him and they drug him. So the thing is that just because you have somebody who doesn't agree or doesn't want to slob all over this dude because he won, that's fine. That's called good journalism. And then so I think when you start banning certain people from going to your events or doing that, because we're going to, we consider ourselves as part of the...
we are the culture.
The new media the boxing culture. And all that. So we want to have a voice, and we're not always going to agree with the boxer, but we still want an opportunity to cover them and then be a part of the sport.
Our opinion out there. Now for
Stephen
Stephen A. Smith, I must clear up. I don't always agree with him, especially not when it comes to boxing. Of course, that's not his field anyways, but a lot of brothers don't agree with basketball with him as well. But one thing for sure, the point he brought up was a great point in the UFC when he said that Conor McGregor, Cowboy, you don't learn much because he always get knocked out. However, they attacked him and feel comfortable attacking him because they know he don't know much about the sport and they could attack that field and that point. But the main point is that he stated facts. For the first time, y'all gonna bash him? For the first time, he actually said something decent that was actually correct because Habib even came out and co-signed him. Habib was like, man, Cowboy, he lost 8 of his last 10 fights. And you said every time Cowboy step up, he loses. He just cannot, at that level, under them lights, he cannot perform. Either he don't have it or he's just not on the elite level or the A level.
Both.
So that
all
being
the
said,
above.
all the above. He could be a C level all day. But A level, he's just not. So Stephen A. Smith did not lie. But of course, the UFC and the Conor McGregor fans was mad that he told the truth at that point because they want to give Conor McGregor more credit than what he actually deserved.
But my point is that it goes both ways or not. So at the same time, even though, so they tried to attack Stephen A. Smith's credibility when it comes to that, which is a fair point. But I don't think anybody's going to question Paulie Malignaggi's credibility when it comes to boxing and doing that. And he just might not. And
some people started having issues with what he's been saying.
The boxer a little bit better. I mean, it does, but still. You know what? Bring them in, and then and then have a face to face with them. But but we can move on with that.
Last thing to say to that, let me add my 2 cents at the end. I see where you come from, but all I'm saying is this: with Paulie Malignaggi knowledge in boxing, what Deontay Wilder is coming from, he's saying he could focus on the good instead of the bad. if I could focus on anybody bad habits or the bad things they doing, them getting hit too much, whatever. So if I see a war, I could say, oh man, they just punching bags. Instead of saying, oh man, they going toe to toe. This is the fight of the year. If they boxing, I could say, oh, he running. Instead of saying, oh, you know, he showing his skill that he could float like a butterfly, sting like a bee, like Muhammad Ali. So, like I said, you could focus on the good and praise it instead of the bad and downgrade the fighter, especially a fighter that fights on the network and debuted on the network. That's what Deontay Wilder is coming from.
I think you're being sensitive.
I ain't being sensitive. I'm just
talking about
laying out how it's supposed to be laid out.
And his camp.
So, your boy, one time, Keith Thurman, he said he didn't watch Crawford last fight. He said Crawford ain't did ish at 147. 147 for Crawford, basically, you know, he has to prove himself. But he did state that he would love to fight Conor McGregor, just like Crawford, in the UFC.
Oh, my God.
Forget boxing.
Are we talking about this?
That's what he's talking about. He said he want to try the UFC just one time against Conor McGregor.
I don't
know.
Now,
why is he saying all of that? He's saying he 35,
you
35 pounds.
You kind of surprised. I didn't know we were going to talk about this.
He said he 35 pounds overweight too. So what's your take on that?
I don't want to hear anything Keith talks about right now.
Come on, man. That's my man, though. You can't do him like that. He don't get no love? Just because he lost to Pac-Man, you going to do him dirty like that?
No, it's fine. But just say, hey, I need to get back in the ring. I need to get back in shape. And I need to fight top-level welterweight. But when you are talking about this BS with Conor McGregor, like Conor McGregor lost his last boxing match. He is in the MMA world. You're not in the MMA world. You're trying to make some easy money off of what's going on? But one thing I want to say, and we'll stay on this topic, but I want to give a shout out to Wake Up, Mr. Fresh Goggles. He said, we all know Wilder boxing is not easy on the eyes.
What is that?
He said, we all know that Wilder's boxing is not easy on the eyes. So that means like when you watch it, it's not that aesthetically pleasing.
I mean, as long as you get the job done, as long as you pay the pitcher. But it was just a funny
statement. But back to the point is, man, I think that's just some BS.
So how he does in the UFC? Because Crawford want to do the same thing. Now Crawford does have an MMA background.
God.
You know what I'm saying?
Does he?
No. I'm saying he wrestles and stuff in high school. From what I heard, I'm just saying. Like,
I think he gets his face kicked off. I don't like this crossover. They're different sports. I'm sorry. Like, just because they're striking and this is a totally different sport. The footwork is different. There is some crossover in there, but a boxer that has no experience in MMA has no business trying to go over there. And I think that you should, when you're supposed to be a top flight welterweight, you should be worried about these killers that's right here. To me, it seems like your focus isn't there and that you don't really want any of that smoke that's at 147.
Because it is the deepest division.
When you're trying to downplay Crawford, who is my top pound for pound fighter. So instead of acknowledging him and stuff, you talking about, oh, I want to go fight this guy who got stopped by a 40-something-year-old Floyd Mayweather, his last boxing. I guess you want to get in the MMA cage with him, but my God. So
hold on.
Ahead. I'll let you.
What I'm saying is this. So, Carissa Shield want to do the same. She already training for MMA, but I do get where you're coming from. When you in a sport and you're in a division that's the deepest division in boxing, you could become a superstar, you could become a megastar if you come out of this division alive, meaning with your O at least, or at least with you winning couple of those fights, which he already did, but the big fights are the Errol Spence, the Terrence Crawford of the world. He already lost the Manny Pacquiao fight. You know, he had an O and already went, to Manny Pacquiao. He wasn't afraid to let it go, but he didn't fight Errol Spence when he had it. Now, is he going to fight Errol Spence? Is he going to fight Terrence? Is the better question. Why are you focusing on a sport? Like I said, like you said, it's not your sport. It's not what you do best. When you have, like some fighters like Andre Ward, he said not everybody could be a superstar because Mayweather had the names around his division. Keith Thurman has the names.
Exactly.
So he said when he came to the division, don't duck me, son.
Yeah.
So if he kept the same energy and fought the best, and of course, you have to be a family man at the end of the day, but your focus should be boxing when you're a fighter. And I don't think that's what it is for him. However, he's coming off a surgery. According to him, he's his left hand he broke in the Pacquiao fight.
What a surprise! Keith Thurman hurt.
Yeah, right hand or left hand, one of the two.
He's so durable. Yeah. I never hear about Keith Thurman hurt.
For real. Hey, I got my man on the phone. How you doing? I think my man's calling from Omaha.
Okay, Nebraska.
Okay. How you doing, Akhi? Who this is and where you calling from? Hello?
I think we lost him.
We did.
So, like, real rap, I want to give props.
Yeah, I'm going to call real.
He said that Paulie got his weave knocked out like Deshaun Cruz.
4-0.
Yeah, my man, he I don't know what happened. He didn't want to talk. So, like I said, I'm going to call everybody back, Rap Critic and Real Rap and everybody that called me. However, we short on time, so I'm trying to get the topics out of the way before we answer the call. So, Manny Pacquiao, can you hit the bell so we could go on to the real business at hand? Manny Pacquiao is negotiating with Errol Spence. He wants to, he's actually in looks, according to in talks. Hold on, let me get this right 100%. I gotta see who he negotiating with.
He's in negotiation with Errol Spence Jr., Garcia Porter, and not Mayweather. Right.
Yeah. Mayweather already told him he out the way. Now Stephen Kim.
Thank you.
Stephen Kim came out and claimed that Sean Gibbons says Manny Pacquiao return will be in June or July. Says the three target are Errol Spence, Danny Garcia, and Porter. As for Mayweather, he told them he's retired, so they not focusing on that. So as far as Manny Pacquiao next opponent in July, we all know who's making a return in July or around that time. No other than Errol Spence. Errol Spence, that's a better date than in May for him because he have more time to recover after the car accident. Now, of course, Sean Porter, you could get him and throw him out the window because he's a difficult style. He does more Jeff Horn than Jeff Horn. So why would Pacquiao fight him? Coming off a loss, and that's a tough fight because Pacquiao has experience fighting a Porter. He sparred him a million times.
I would stay away from that.
Yeah, so of course, Danny Garcia, that's a good fight. That's a possible opponent. However, Danny don't have a strap. He looked good his last performance, but he should have looked better. So Pacquiao might consider it, but you should go after the guy with a question mark. And that's what I'm hearing. And the rumors have it is that Errol Spence versus Manny Pacquiao is the next mega fight that PBC is working on and Al Haymon is trying to make. Of course, Pacquiao is going to make the bag as he deserve and should. He earned the right to. So Manny Pacquiao versus Errol Spence. Freddie Roach came out claiming that Manny Pacquiao hit harder than Mike Tyson. He said that he hit harder than Mike Tyson.
So like pound for pound, if you took it into consideration.
So if we talking about Tyson and talking about at 41, the last thing that go away is your power, then he has a serious shot according to Freddie. According to Freddie, the Pacquiao is back. The real Pac-Man is back. Now, will they be blood tests for this fight? Will be VADA testing? We don't know.
Probably.
That should be the main thing that Errol Spence need to be worried about. Don't go the Keith Thurman route and claim, I don't care if Manny Pacquiao take a bite of the forbidden fruit, I'm still retire him. Nah. You don't want that old Manny Pac-Man back that do that little pity pat and it felt like bricks coming at you. Yeah. You know, so what's your whole take on what Freddie Roach had to say in the fight in general? The legendary Pac-Man Pacquiao that's fighting for 4 decades, and the truth, Errol Spence, that Freddie Roach came out and said, and he stated that Pacquiao and Mayweather, once they long gone, the new pound for pound and the face of boxing will be Errol Spence. Is Freddie gonna let that happen?
I don't think it's up to Freddie. I think Freddie kind of does what he's told at this point in Pac-Man's career. But I think I'll first start with the statement that he hits harder than Mike Tyson. I thought about this a little bit. I thought it was just a lot of hyperbole, just capping. Freddie Roach did train Mike Tyson at one point, but it was a washed Mike Tyson. So he can attest to it. And obviously he's speaking about, pound for pound, who's the hardest puncher. I think it's just a way to get some attention to it. I don't know. I think that the standard to be is always going to be Mike Tyson when you think about punching power. There's Deontay Wilder, but
George Foreman.
Yeah, George Foreman, Deontay Wilder, Mike Tyson. Those are going to be the kind of standard when you think about power. And you really don't know because it's kind of a mythical thing because there are different weight classes. So I think that's a good way to get people talking about Pac-Man Pacquiao. I will say that I don't see the fight with Thurman popping off in June or July. I think Pacquiao is trying to seize upon this question mark of a fighter at this time. And one thing that somebody brought up, which I'm glad that they did, because every time we talk about Pac-Man or like welterweights or what's, who's going to clean out the division, we conveniently want to leave off Terrence Crawford. And even though there's this target that Pac-Man Pacquiao has for this summer, June or July, and Crawford checks all the boxes. He's a good name. He's pound for pound. He has a strap. He's with Bob Arum, which might be a bit of an issue, but I don't think Bob Arum would have any issue with making that fight.
Well, we all know what Bob Arum did. According to Pacquiao, that's how he felt. He felt like he got robbed by Jeff Horn. He claimed that Bob Arum knew that was his last fight. The only way to keep him, rob him, and make him want the rematch, and he have to go through Bob Arum to make the rematch with Jeff Horn and re-sign him. And when you see, Bob Arum has this contract that he has you under. If you fight for a belt, as if you fight a champion and you win, your contract get extended. And Pacquiao was like, man, this is the oldest chick in the world.
Yeah, I mean, that's old.
So, of course, Pacquiao don't have to fight Crawford at this point, because if he was going to fight him, he would have fought him on Top Rank. And that's Bob Arum's fault for letting Pacquiao leave before fighting Crawford. If you're really going to blame somebody, it should be the promoter. And that's why Crawford should focus his energy on Bob Arum. Like, man, listen, man, you screwed me over a couple times. Bob, what's up? But as far as the Errol Spence fight, as far as his power, I think Pacquiao...
Would you like to see that fight, though, right?
I would love to see it, but I'd rather see Pacquiao and Errol Spence.
So without even knowing what condition Errol Spence is...
I think July he'd be good.
You think he's good?
I think July it'd be like almost a year, not quite a year, but almost a year. So he should be better. I don't have no problem with that. If Errol Spence is gonna go with it, I'm pretty sure his team already know what's up.
If his team thinks he's okay.
Yeah, if he's not reacting to punches correctly, then hell no. But if he is, then let it happen. Now, of course, Manny Pacquiao on one hand, Freddie Roach said he hit harder than Tyson. That's not the first time Freddie Roach said something out of the ordinary. Yeah. But one thing for sure, Pacquiao, one of the fastest punches in the game, has one of the best left hands in the game, and he's one of the most gifted fighters in the game, and has a deep background of boxing. He has a knowledge of boxing. So, of course, that plays into him putting himself in the right position to land the right punch. But one thing for sure, Tyson in his prime, he has the best of both worlds, power and speed at heavyweight, in my opinion. Now, George Foreman, pure power, I think George Foreman. Power and speed is Deontay Wilder. Technique, power, and speed, I think that's Tyson Fury. I'm sorry. Mike Tyson. Oh, the Tyson Fury. Oh, hold on.
That's capping.
Now, let me pull back, though. Manny Pacquiao, one of the best punchers in the game, but he not a knockout puncher purely. He's more of a boxer puncher, in my opinion. I just think he has the speed where he shocks you. If you don't see his punch come, you're going to get knocked out or stopped.
Shocking, yeah.
Like Gary Russell, too. A lot of fighters that can't keep up. No, but I'm saying that can't keep up with his speed, they automatically get knocked out because they don't see where the punch is coming from. He's that fast for them. So Manny Pacquiao brings the element of shock of his hand speed to the table, plus his power. Some fighters in his prime, they claim he hit, it felt like you getting hit by a brick. And I remember somebody even claiming that Manny Pacquiao, it was Sugar Shane Mosley. He hit him in the third round and dropped him, and he thought it was the ninth round. That's like the worstest feeling in the world. Like, you so tired, like, man, it's the ninth round. I got 3 rounds to go, and someone tell you, wake up, son. You got 9 rounds to go. That's a heartbreaking moment. But regardless of all of that talk, man, Errol Spence will wash him. Man, I take it back. I won't say wash him, but he will stop him after he break him down. It's going to be tough a little bit early on because of the car accident. I don't know why I keep thinking of Errol Spence before the car crash. When I talk about Errol Spence, I got to remind myself the dude just survived a car accident. But because I see him on my Snapchat looking good, training, I'm thinking he's already back 100. But I would say it's going to be a little tough early on. And, of course, he might stop him later on. Manny Pacquiao, the key word is 41 years old.
You think he'll stop Pacquiao later on?
With the VADA testing, he should. He should. He better. That would make him a superstar. You know, he automatically the biggest superstar in the game if he does so. So, let me see. Akhi wanted to talk about Errol Spence and Bud Crawford. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Like I said, we have a lot of callers and we have to basically wrap up the show as well. How you doing, Akhi? Where you calling from and who this is?
What's up, this Jay Cooley, man? I'm on Nebraska, man.
Another call from Nebraska. What's up, Jay Cooley?
How you doing, Akhi?
Hey, I just want to keep it short, man, on Spence, man. There's a lot of people on YouTube and across the world be saying he needs to don't come back real quick. He don't need no tune-up. The man said he don't want no tune-up. Give him the big shark because he is the king. We're going to beat Pacquiao. And when we beat Pacquiao, we're going to beat up Bud, too. And I'm out.
Okay. Hold on.
So, man, he out here representing the smoke.
So we got to vote for going straight into the high-profile fight. You feel confident of where Errol Spence is mentally and physically. Go right for Pac-Man.
And how does he beat Pacquiao too, though? And Terrence, just sum it up. Hello?
Did we lose Jay Cooley?
My man hanged up. He just made a statement and dipped.
He came in and was like, and then dropped the mic on us. He was like out. He's like, we stopping Pac-Man, Pacquiao, and then we going after Crawford. He going after, all right, Jay Cooley.
Okay, I see you.
All right, Jay Cooley.
I see you, Akhi. So, like I said, on to the next topic. Hit the bell real quick so we can move on to the next round. We're going to hop into the the Canelo and the Oscar beef. Because since a lot of people want to talk about that. Now, of course, Canelo and Oscar.
want to talk about Canelo.
They beefing. They obviously beefing. So hopefully I get the callers that's been calling in that's been throwing comments in the comment section. Man, listen, I'm tired of y'all in the comments. I want y'all to call in. You ain't showing your face. You ain't showing your image. So all you have to do is just speak. I know that ain't that hard to do. So that being said, let's talk about the business at hand. Canelo Alvarez had beef with Oscar De La Hoya. Now, first of all, let's lay it down before we answer any call when it comes to this.
Okay.
According to Canelo, Oscar is unloyal. According to Canelo, he think Oscar is unloyal because when DAZN signed Canelo and got him trapped under this app, and of course, he can't be promoted like he's supposed to be. You got Deontay Wilder showing commercial on the Super Bowl, getting 330 million views. That's why he the face of boxing. On the other hand, Canelo, he's stuck on the app. And he like, man, this dude tricked me. Yes, he getting guaranteed purses, but he heard that Golden Boy got 90 million for their brand and then bringing Canelo Alvarez to the network or the app. Of course, Golden Boy have Ryan Garcia, Virgil Ortiz, and many more, Saddam Ali, and all of that.
I mean, they don't have a lot now.
He think that's not worth 90 million. He thinks some of that money should belong to his promotion company. He shouldn't be spending his own money for his own promotional company. He should be using DAZN money. So he think basically Oscar tricked him. Now, on the other hand, Oscar been applying pressure slowly for Canelo to fight Charlo. We talked about this last show when even Bernard Hopkins said Andre's supposed to be fighting Canelo 2020. Guaranteed. And it's like, what? That's not what the network's saying. That's not what Canelo's saying. Canelo's saying he boring. What is you talking about Bernard Hopkins? So it seemed like they're on two different pages. Oscar De La Hoya said the same thing about the Andrade and Charlo. He said these fights will define his career and legacy. So did Chavez Sr., Barrera, Morales. Oscar said he will fly to Mexico City to speak to Canelo on his next upcoming fight. However, Canelo came out and stated, we only speaking through lawyers. He ain't coming to see me face to face. So what's your summary on what I just talked about? And what do you think about what Canelo had to say?
I mean,
Is he
I
coming
think
from a
that
good point of view?
Oscar has kind of proven to be not the most astute businessman. He's got some questionable practices. One is I'm a little, I won't say kind of confused, maybe misinformed, because I thought everything was hunky-dory in the sense that he got this man supposedly the biggest sports contract that's out there now. And if he is applying some pressure, I think that's good. I mean, this is a promoter. His job is, I have to be able to sell these fights in there, and then you're talking about fighting some guy named Murata that's in Japan or something like that. And if Oscar if he's looking within himself and saying, hey, I fought the best out there even when I didn't have to. And I think that this is the way to build a legacy and really build up a superstar. Then if he wants you to fight Charlo or even like an Andre as part of your legacy, then I don't see anything wrong. But that's me as a fan. With Canelo right now thinks that he's bigger than his promotion. And that he thinks that he's bigger than the belts, and at this point, he thinks that he is the name.
He's not Ali.
He doesn't, but he thinks that way. I mean, he thinks that way.
He can think all he wants, but facts say otherwise. Facts say his numbers are going down on the zone. He no longer the face of boxing. His stardom is dying. I used to make videos about Canelo, get a lot of views. Now I make a video about Canelo, it's like nobody really cares because they tired of him avoiding. His fans can't even ride for him. He's making the nation look bad. Forget Canelo, Brian. He's making Mexico look bad. Jojo out here representing more so than the damn Canelo. So what I'm saying is Oscar does what he preaches. And that's him fighting the best. Even when he was a fighter, he fought the best when he was the cash cow. He fought so many undefeated fighters. When welterweight was the hottest division, and just like it is today, he fought when fighters was undefeated. Flex, Trinidad.
Felix,
Felix, Trinidad, Tito. We talking about even Sweet Pea. May he rest in peace. And I could go on. He fought Mayweather and Pacquiao toward the end of his career. So Oscar is a legend if we're talking about his boxing legacy.
No, he fought Ike Cortez when nobody wanted to mess with Ike Cortez. So I believe he preaches what he does. Yeah. So he's telling Canelo, you're getting guaranteed purses. Why are you mad at me? Because the fans wanted to see you to fight Charlo and Andrade, and I keep telling the fans, we're gonna give y'all the best fights, unlike Haymon. Even though he capping on that, Haymon is giving us the best fights. So people are applying pressure on Oscar, saying, listen, you keep complaining about Al when Al is doing a better job than you. How about make Canelo versus Charlo and Andrade and all those guys that define his legacy? He's getting pressure from Mexico City, from legendary fighters, and from the fans. And he's trying to apply pressure slowly. However, Canelo called witness protection on him. He called, a lawyer. Like, man, I ain't speaking to you if you're trying to persuade me to sign in this contract. You ain't gonna say the right words for me to sign this contract and fight Charlo and Andrade. And that's where I'm losing respect for Canelo, because I didn't see that coming from him. I thought Canelo will take his time cherry picking, and then he will fight a big name every now and then, like he did with Lara, like he did with Jacob. It's so far in between. It's like a decade in between. But it's like, if you're gonna fight a good fighter every decade, then it is what it is. You're not a Mayweather, but you at least a Canelo. But okay. But now he don't even want to fight a good fighter every decade. He want to, come on, man. That's like you in your prime. If you're going to fight your best fighters, we're going to see the best Canelo, let's see it now. That's why the fans are fed up. That's why his stardom is dying. Because you could bring a strap and force him to fight these guys on the coincidental list, but he'd rather give up his strap. Your pride in Mexico City to request a French fries title. He paid the WBC French fries title. He paid for that title more than he paid Charlo in order to fight him last year. So it's like, man, Canelo going so far and beyond and getting stripped of titles, then fighting the guys he was supposed to. And that's why his brand is dying. And that's why I think the beef is on between them, and it's going to continue on forever, because Oscar,
Just like he complained about Ryan Garcia, and we saw them, they had their little beef. He said, Ryan Garcia, you got to do what Virgil Ortiz is doing. You're not fighting the best. And then Ryan came out and fought Duno and knocked him out. So he was like, you know what? See, if you keep doing that, you're going to be a superstar. Your Instagram followers going to be real hardcore boxing fans. It was a little harsh the route he went. Ryan Garcia wanted more bread, and he got it. But at the end of the day, he fought the guy he was supposed to fight and knocked him out. So we'll see what Ryan does in the future. I think Ryan will live up to Oscar, not Canelo. Hopefully he does. But as far as Canelo's sake, he done ruined his image.
I don't.
He like basically he the cherry king when it comes to the sport of boxing. Not the face of boxing, the cherry king.
The cherry picking. So I think that you went a little bit overboard.
With what? With what?
Just this one statement to say that his his brand is tarnished and all that. I wouldn't go that far. I still think that there's an argument that he is the face of boxing.
How? When Wilder is doing 330 million views on Super Bowl, he has this promotion.
Yeah, because it's
that's
Super
more
Bowl.
than I know, but that's more promotion than Canelo have ever gotten for the past. I don't know how long he been on the zone. So what I'm saying is, Deontay Wilder's steady, linearly on a linear state. He's going. Like his stardom is increasing. On the other hand, Canelo is the opposite way. If so, he on consistent base. Like he's not gaining any popularity because he's not facing the fighters he's supposed to face. He avoiding the fights. He cherry picking, and he's stuck on the app and don't give interviews because, of course, just like you said, journalism. If you ask Canelo to fight Charlo and stuff, he probably kick you out.
Yeah, but hold on. But one thing we want to say, I thought we did. Oh no! So that was for the Andrade, because I would say I thought somebody sent Charlo a contract that he did not sign, but I think that he'll fight Andrade and Charlo in 2021.
Man, you could think all day, but it don't look like it's happening because he out here beefing with Oscar. If he's gonna fight him, he would have fought him in 2020. That's a perfect year. You've been avoiding two fighters for the past 2 decades, and it's 2020. Two. Like you know what I mean? Like it's your decade right now to prove yourself and prove all your doubters, and you choose to do otherwise. So he making Canelo fans look bad. He didn't make Canelo fans dig their own grave. They don't have no more excuses to make, so they stop coming. I'm like, man, Canelo fans, I didn't destroy.
I don't see where you see where
every
they stop
Canelo fan.
coming.
I done knocked out every Canelo fan, man. I'm talking about cold, like Deontay Wilder. I slept them.
Well, so
like,
one thing I want to say is that I'm not. I think I like to give an imposing view, but let's be real. Like Andrade fought on a Wednesday on his last fight.
And what Marat fought on? What day did he fight on?
Rocky
Fielding day? What day he fought on? He ain't fighting. Okay, I see what you're saying. If you're gonna complain about who Andrade is fighting, but we talked about Gary Russell earlier. You gotta stay active when these guys are avoiding you. So Andrade is doing what he's supposed to do in order to get these fights whenever Canelo is ready, so he won't be rusty. Because Canelo keep blaming it on this and that. But it's really, he don't want to get schooled by these young guns. He rather focus on the fighters that's coming off bad performances like Saunders and them. So my point is, at the end of the day, Canelo is not avoiding Andrade to fight better competition than Andrade. He avoiding Andrade to fight worse competition than Andrade. So that's the bad part. But let me call my man real quick. Okay. I got a lot of people on the phone.
And it looks like we're about at 2 hours.
Are we about at that mark? So this is about to be our last topic. Hold on, let me call. You could mention some of the comments, what they're saying.
So
I know it ain't no Canelo fans over there.
Hemingway said that there was never a contract; it was just an offer. Which we can kind of split hairs over that.
When they talking about what?
Regarding Charlo, that there was never an official contract that was sent to Charlo, but there was an offer.
It's just BS, and they don't want no smoke with no Charlo, with no line only. They don't want none of the real smoke.
So Real Rap says, Clenbuterol, Canelo tainted meat. His fans will protect him at all costs.
Yeah, so I got a list of fans that's calling in. I asked them the topic, so I make sure I call him back.
All right.
This is a Canelo fan. He said he want to talk about a Canelo subject. I'm calling back. 312. Pick up the phone. Because we on the topic. If we going to talk about it, let's talk about it now. Don't avoid the smoke, my brother. I ain't going to hurt you. I was gonna hurt your feelings telling the truth. I know not everybody want to hear the truth, but I'm just telling it like it is. Canelo need to do more, and he need to do better if he know better. My man ain't picking up, man. So
We're going to the next one.
I have to let him go.
What's up, Iceman? Call in to Real Rap. You know, if you get some time, definitely show us some
he
love.
called in, so I gotta call him back. I got a lot of people calling in while I was talking, like I said. So, however, like I'm trying to call back the Canelo fans so they won't say anything, but man, they avoiding the smoke just like Canelo, man. What do you expect?
So Stevens, I think, wants you to repost the number. He says that Canelo is a big duck.
Okay. All right, I got you.
And then somebody else has cherries for Canelo, Eric James. It's not a lot of Canelo love.
612, where you calling from and who this is?
Hey, what's going on? It's Cisco from the Twin City. How y'all doing?
How you
What's
doing,
going on,
Akhi?
Cisco?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. So I was just calling in to chime in on the Canelo Andre Charlo business.
Give us some
the
insight.
way I feel about it, I'm a Canelo fan, right? So for me, it's almost like when you're a fan of a sports team, sometimes when they make decisions and you're upset because they made that decision, it doesn't change whether you're a fan or not. You're just pissed, right? Like, I don't want him to fight Murat. You know what I mean? No, I don't think any Canelo fan wants him to go and do something like that.
I think they want to because they're not talking about, like, they're not saying who Murat is fighting. Nobody is saying who Murat is fighting.
Well, he's a Canelo fan. He can
feel
speak.
like,
yeah, go ahead.
I feel like it's a whole promoter, the whole promotion thing, I feel like it's just a game between the promoters. And just like BJS just called them out, for all they're doing is looking for the cheapest fight. You know what I mean? Because clearly people are pricing themselves left and right. What are they looking for? What is the magic number for them? Because clearly it has to do with money, I feel, more than anything else. And they're trying to get a cheap fight.
Really? Who are you talking about is trying to get a cheap fight? Who's that?
Billy Joe Saunders.
No, Billy Saunders won the Canelo.
What he's saying is that he is like looking at.
I'm just saying that he just said it. Like he sent out a tweet, saying that that's what they're looking for. That's what he believes is going on.
Yeah. You talking about Canelo? They're looking for the cheapest fight. Okay. I see what you're saying. But see, that's the funny part. Canelo, he get a guaranteed purse anyways, though. Like so, Canelo from his promoters want him to fight Charlo and Andre. Oscar and Bernard Hopkins, they want to get that off their shoulder because every time they doing interviews, that's what they getting asked. However, Canelo, the fighter, because supposedly, AKA he the boss, he ain't making the boss moves that he's supposed to be because fighting Murat is not the decision to go. And I know you saying you a Canelo fan, but you don't want to see that fight. But a lot of Canelo fans ain't complaining about the Murat fight. I didn't have not even one fan coming at me telling me, man, Murat.
They haven't made the fight.
But I'm saying they was like, oh, I didn't have nobody come at me saying who Murat fought. Every time Charlo called him out, they say who Charlo fought and who Andre fought. But when Murat come through, nobody came at me talking about who Murat fought. So we already know it ain't about who you fought.
I honestly feel like it's all a smokescreen. It's gonna be Caleb Smith in the end. I feel like that's probably what's going to happen. Even though I think that's crazy because he's 6'3", with
didn't he rob his last opponent though?
Yeah, and the last opponent was small, but those Super 8 tournament champions, they went through the grind. I think all divisions should have that tournament, to be honest. Yeah. It would be fair. Everybody's in it. You're going to know who's at the top. And nobody's going to
I agree, and that's what we're missing in the sport of boxing. But, I mean, Canelo won't enter in the tournament the way he moving because if there's a tournament, you're forced to fight a certain fighter, I don't see him fighting anybody or joining the tournament because we see him negotiating with Smith, like you said, you think that's going to be his next opponent, but you got to keep in mind that Smith is coming off a bad performance. Another guy he negotiating with, Billy Saunders, he coming off a bad performance. So like I said, the blueprint is looking like you got to come off a bad performance for Canelo to consider you as a next likely opponent. You know what I mean? So that's the issue I have with Canelo when he's supposed to be fighting guys coming off their biggest win since he claimed he pound for pound #1. But I appreciate you for calling in, Akhi. Any last thoughts you want to get out the way? You could go ahead
and here was my only thing. Like for me, when it comes to Andrade and Charlo, I believe that they missed their opportunities earlier on in their career. First for Andrade, he could hold on. Hear me out. When he had a shot at Jermell, not just one, there was a money problem. Okay, but the second time, he was the mandatory after he beat Willie Nelson to Jermell Charlo's WBC belt. He decided not to fight him, and he went after Lara and priced himself out of a fight with Lara. If he would have fought those two fights right there.
Yeah, I see. I remember that's what I told Professor Name at one point when we were debating about Charlo and Andrade. Yeah, Andrade did turn down an offer from Charlo, but Jermell Charlo for $300,000, where he felt like, oh man, it wasn't worth it. Me going to Showtime, me getting robbed, this and that. However, I get where you're coming from. But if we recall correctly, Andrade also held the WBO title. He was the champion. And as soon as he vacated that strap, guess who fought for it? Canelo Alvarez against Smith. So it's not a coincidence. So the train haven't left because they both still hold straps at 160. Both Andrade and Charlo. They both hold straps, and Canelo, according to him, he wants to be undisputed. So if you want to make your dream come true, fight these guys and get out the way. But he'd rather fight a Smith, a Billy Saunders.
I do actually want Canelo to fight these guys just to end it all, because I honestly feel like he is better than them. You have seen him in the ring with a Jacob. If you honestly think, I think Jacobs is better, if not just as good as Charlo and Andrade. He's proven it in the ring, even when he fought Triple D.
One thing for sure, though. Well, one thing for sure, though. Jacob, that's my guy, but he is not undefeated. Jacob lost before. And him versus Canelo that's Canelo best win at 160. However, the best dogs at 160, we all know who they are. That's Andrade and Charlo. So we could say, Jacob, they undefeated. They got an O, and nobody have solved the puzzle. We already seen Jacob lose before. We never seen Andrade even come close to losing. Yeah, I would love to see those fights. So hopefully Canelo make our dream come true. Appreciate it. Great talking to you. Akhi, man, you're an intelligent boxing fan. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, you guys. Have a good one.
He had good points, but like I said, at the end of the day, he still want to see the fight. We all want to see the fight. So let me go ahead and
I don't think that the train has left with those fighters.
They still have the straps. Like, how can you say the train is left when they at the best now? Like Andrade and Charlo, they are at their best now, prime-wise, mental-wise, you name it. You know what I mean? So I got my man on the phone, 312. How you doing, Akhi? Where you calling from, and who this is?
I'm calling from Chicago. This is Lalo.
Chi-Town, what's good
How
with
you doing, Akhi?
Doing all right. So I'm not sure what the current topic is, but you're
Canelo.
Spence. Oh, you're talking Canelo right now?
Yeah, Canelo and Andrade and Charlo and Oscar beef.
All right. Well, I haven't been keeping up on the beef. I know they're not on talking terms right now. I did want to emphasize that I'm an objective boxing fan. So I don't think that Canelo is the, number one or even number two, like pound for pound boxer. But I do think he's certainly a quality fighter, and I don't think you give him the credit he deserves.
Oh, okay.
For example, I remember on your last show, you were saying, who has he fought? I mean, he's fought Danny Jacobs, Miguel Cotto.
Miguel Cotto.
He fought Mayweather. Of course, he lost. He's also fought Gennady Golovkin on 2 occasions. I realized that, there is some validity to your argument.
Yeah, so basically,
wait. What?
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand the argument that he's never dominated any of the top quality opponents. That's a very valid argument, but he is beating top quality opponents. So I think you're being a little too biased as far as I'm concerned.
I don't think that's called bias. I think that's called me doing my job. You just don't like the fact that I'm calling out Canelo for the maneuvering he doing. So let's keep it a buck. You said that he not pound for pound number one. So we both agree on that. You know what I'm saying? I got Terrence
We
Crawford.
agree on that.
You know,
I
we agree
wouldn't
on
even
that.
put him top
And
five.
I have Canelo as a pound for pound fighter. I think top 5. If it wasn't for that computer roll situation, if not number 6, that's as far as I'm pushing. Now I'm not saying he below that. So like I said, Canelo is up there. I'm giving him his props. So you got to keep in mind, I'm a reporter / analyst / expert. So I'm doing my job. A lot of people come at me telling me that Canelo is pound for pound number 1. So my point to
I'm not one
support
of
that
those
he's
people, by the way.
not. So
No,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm
My point to support that he's not pound for pound number 1 is that how can you claim you pound for pound number 1 when you haven't beat the best guys at your division that supposedly are the best, like Andrade and Charlo. So once he do fight those
We're on
guys,
the same page. We're on the same page.
yeah, what I'm saying.
Hold on one second. Let me get in the word
Let me
edgewise.
respond to him.
You
Hold
just
on.
responded to
I
him.
haven't finished. So timing is everything when it comes to a lot of these topics. Like Charlo and Andrade, them names will haunt Canelo for the rest of his career because just like Ali, Frazier's name always attached to him because they had the rivalry and all of that. Just like Pacquiao and Floyd. I could go on and name you many fighters. So Canelo, on one hand, he was in a division where Andrade and Charlo were for years. So, like, you named a lot of good names, but he fought, like, Kovalev, for example, at a time where it was like, you had better options.
He fought Trout. And
he had better options. He fought a lot of fighters. Where even when he fought Cotto, as you mentioned, remember when he fought Cotto?
2015.
Right after that, he vacated the strap and gave it to Gennady Golovkin. Because at the time, Gennady Golovkin was looking like the Crusher. And he waited to Gennady Golovkin look kind of semi-bad against Jacob, where I thought Jacob beat him. And Kell Brook, moving up 2-weight division, kind of exposed him. And then he fought him. So Canelo, on timing he waits till the fighter is exposed, just like Billy Joe Saunders, who he claimed that he's coming out bad. You know, he claimed he a good fighter now. But before, he claimed he was, boring because he move around. But as soon as he come off a bad performance, now he a good fighter because he sees that he's beatable. So my point that I'm trying to get across is that I'm calling out Canelo for the obvious things that I'm seeing that people trying to ignore. And that's the timing of him making his move. So if he fight Andrade and Charlo after they come off bad performances, I would still love to see the fight, but it's still bad luck because, like, man, you serious? You only fight fighters coming off their worstest performances?
Bro,
But yeah, you
he fought Jacobs. I don't remember
Jacob with every
He fought-
Jacob.
he
It was one round
He
separating
fought
them.
Trout when he was undefeated, and then I don't think Lara was coming off a bad performance.
And Gulo dropping him twice?
You said you're
Yeah, but he stopped him.
I agree with you.
He
But let me
stopped
just
him.
get my.
Okay, but Angulo hurt him twice, though. Hold on. I'm talking to
You
Professor
said
Nim
your
real quick. So Angulo dropped him twice, and he looked bad, but I still gave him credit for fighting Lara, but Lara had to do the most and disrespect him in order to get the fight. Like, let's face it. So he didn't give Lara a
these
rematch.
are all top. So these are at least like there's at
name
least
me,
6 people.
Name me these fighters. Name me one by one. Like, you said 6 fighters?
You said no quality opponents in your last live stream. Now I understand we all get animated. I understand a lot of these fanboys are very annoying, but you said no quality.
No quality lately. I probably didn't say it, but lately. I say lately, but go ahead.
Let me be objective, because I'm not a Canelo fanboy. I'm not, okay?
Oh, you sound like it, brother. Oh, you sound like it, brother. You sound like a hardcore, but go ahead.
I'm a Latino and I'm from Chicago, but I'm not a fanboy of Canelo's. Okay, so Errol Spence. I think he is number 2 in the welterweight division after Terrence Crawford. I understand he's fought more top-quality opponents at welterweight than Terrence Crawford, but I think Terrence Crawford is a more complete fighter. I think if they both fight, I think Terrence Crawford will win in a very close competitive match. But let's look at Errol Spence. Now, Errol Spence beat Kell Brook. That was a legitimate win, but that was after Kell Brook was coming off a loss to Gennady Golovkin, in which he jumped 2 weight divisions
and exposed Gennady Golovkin.
Broke his cheekbone, had to come down back to welterweight. Okay, he had trouble making the weight, and Errol Spence legitimately beat him. However, that was not the same Kell Brook before he moved up in weight and fought Triple G.
I think we can acknowledge that.
Errol Spence isn't a great. Wait. Does that mean Errol Spence isn't a great fighter? No, of course not. He's a great fighter. Now, he fought Mikey Garcia. That was a great win. I was very impressed because everybody was expecting him to knock out Mikey Garcia. Nobody gave him any props for his boxing skills. He was quite a technician in that bout. I was impressed, controlling him, kicking that range with the jab. Very impressed with Errol Spence.
but he didn't knock him out, and he was jumping up 2 weight classes. But I'm not going to hold that against him. Just saying. And then we saw Sean Porter. That was a tough, competitive match, and nobody wanted to give Sean Porter any credit. People were saying he had no chance, he can't win, he's a brawler, and that was a tough, competitive match that some people had Sean Porter winning.
So
now, I had Errol Spence up by 2 rounds.
So what's
that
your
was a
point?
very, very close, competitive match. And I don't think it was simply because Porter has an awkward style. I think it's because people underestimate Porter's boxing skill. I was impressed with his head movements. I was impressed with his general foot movement. I think he did very good. Now, my point being, let's not be biased. Look at Errol Spence. He's great, but he's had some tough fights that he hasn't dominated.
Let me respond to that, though. Answer this question for me. So, name me a fighter Errol Spence avoided in between. Because I could name you plenty Canelo avoided. So, name me a fighter Errol Spence avoided.
That's beyond the point.
So that is the point. That's the main point. If you claim you are the best, like Canelo does, he claimed he pound for pound number one. He has to fight the best. Let's stop maneuvering around it. And he not fighting Andrade. He not fighting Charlo. He not fighting the best competition. He stays fighting fighters coming off bad performances. Errol Spence is calling he wants all the smoke, even coming off a car crash. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez is calling his lawyer because Oscar De La Hoya is pressuring him to fight some tough fights. So let's call it what it is. So. I get where you're coming from. I know where you're coming from. Canelo is a good fighter. I never said that.
That's where I'm coming from. I am not coming in to defend Canelo. I'm just saying you said no quality opponents. I said
lately his resume is made up. So it's made up because you can see him maneuvering around and stuff like that. So like I said,
really quickly.
Go ahead. We short on time. Go ahead. We short on time.
Now there's this other podcast I think is very biased. You may or may not know the name of it. It's called the International Boxing Fan Podcast.
I don't know.
Okay, well, they absolutely hate Dante's Boxing Nation and your stuff.
Oh, that's the goal. They hate the truth. They hate the truth.
Yeah, okay. Well, here's the thing. He recently made the argument that Canelo would beat David Benavidez. I think that's complete bullshit. I think David Benavidez would stop Canelo, would knock him out. I think his speed, power, and size are too much for Canelo, and Canelo would not be able to defeat him. That's my position, though. You may disagree.
Yeah, so what's your point? Yeah.
I think he just wanted to state that.
I'm not some Canelo fanboy.
Oh no, I'm just saying. I'm telling you. When I make a Canelo video, they make he the face of boxing. He pound for pound number one. 1,000 comments, but they don't want to acknowledge that he ain't fighting the best. He a good fighter. I got him on my pound for pound list. You ain't just gonna be on my pound for pound list if you can't fight. But you ain't number one. You ain't a fighter that's living up to Mexico City fighting the best. Because you see him being strategic. You see him maneuvering around. Even a blind man could see this coming. Stevie Wonder don't have to wonder what Canelo's doing. He calling lawyers in order to avoid Charlo and Andre. But a great talking with you, brother. We should call next time on the early time because we hitting the 2-hour mark.
Okay. We are.
Yeah,
and then, but I also want to make one comment. Hold on 1 second. So I actually want to give a shout out to Joshua Simpson.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a point that people don't acknowledge, and where it says that nobody fights only the best. And that's true, right? So if you line them up, Ali had some throwaway fights because Ali went on a European tour where he was just fighting these guys, like clean them out, but it was a way for him to basically hiding his profile. And then he wasn't fighting just the best.
You fight the best available. That's the main thing. Errol Spence is doing it. Terrence Crawford is doing it even on his side as much as he can. He's in the wrong promotion, but it is what it is. If Terrence could get Errol Spence fight today, if Errol Spence could get a fight today, he will fight him today. If Terrence Crawford could get Errol Spence. But he's not fighting only the best. That's my point. He's fighting the best fighters available. Canelo could fight the best fighters available and become a pound for pound number one and run the sport. But he chooses not to run the sport by cherry picking. And that's the point that I keep making, that Canelo making his brand look bad by not fighting the best. That's why he cannot be considered pound for pound number one. If you say he a top 10 pound for pound fighter, absolutely. Even with a computer or BS.
Who's saying that?
You know what I'm saying?
Nobody on this channel
what
has
I meant
ever
to say
put
is that Canelo haven't fought a legit fighter lately that's a threat. That's a 50-50 fight. That's going to have me on TV watching. You know your man London. He is the biggest Canelo fan. He didn't even show up for Kovalev fight. Why? Because at the end of the day, it was you could see like the devil in the detail. Kovalev came out saying, if you thought I could win that fight, you don't know ish about boxing. So I appreciate talking to you, my man, though. You should definitely call in next time, and we're going to talk more. But that being said, I'm going to have to let my Akhi go. I'm sorry for all the people that we didn't get to, like Real Rap and everybody. Like I said, we short on time. My man called in. Like I said, he was trying to get a victory. I would say he got, you know what I'm saying, he went to decision. He didn't get saved by the bell, you know, because we were short on time. But at the end of the day, I appreciate every single one of my Akhis. Comment below who you thought won the debate. Me, Professor Nim, the caller, because I'm undefeated. I'm what Canelo want to be. It's pound for pound number one on split decision when it comes to debate. That being said, I appreciate all my Akhis. You know, we're going to put the guns down and the gloves up. Shout out to Rick India for winning by split decision, becoming a 2-time world champion at 2 different weight divisions. The Boogeyman. Shout out to Professor Nim.
3K, baby.
And like I said, everybody in the chat, subscribe below. If you're trying to get smarter by the minute, if you're trying to get dumber by the second, don't. And listen to these casual fans, or AKA decafs, dumbass casual fans, because the casual fan ain't no disrespect. If you're a casual fan and you want to be a hardcore, all you have to do is attend the Akhi University every Sunday live on split decision. And hopefully, one day y'all will graduate from the Akhi University. And just like Dante always say, man, we speak the truth and nothing but the truth. We offer the book of the truth on split decision. So if you hate to hear the truth, man, you're going to hurt your feelings listening to us, and your eardrum might bust. So like I said, man, I appreciate every single one of my Akhis. Take us out, Professor Nim, while I keep it rolling. You could take us out by reading some of the comments.
Nah, peace out. You know, we want to give a shout out to Sean Johnson, to Real Rap,
and
Joshua
Akhi.
Simpson, and
OG
then
Swag.
Iceman also too. But
what's my man that did the super chat?
Yeah, so it wasn't OG Swag. It was Matthew Valentine.
Matthew Valentine, I appreciate you for all the support. I appreciate all the people that called in. I had over like 50 calls. I couldn't get to every single person. But next show, tune in Sunday. We definitely get to it. And peace, and we outie. And click on the notification bell to get notified every time we post to go live on Split Decision. You already know how we